Hi guys, this is Hirosaki. This story is all about what if Naruto died in the final battle against Madara. Fate had seen it fit to give him second chance to do things over. With memories of his past life, people will be surprised by what the new Naruto can do. Find out here. Welcome aboard. Chapter 6. The Bonds That Do Not Break. I can't believe we did it. Sakura smiled, ignoring the meal in front of her in favor of gushing over their team's accomplishment and passing their sensei's test. You've been saying that ever since we finished that stupid test, Sasuke said. He rolled his eyes at the girl despite his smile. Give it a rest. Sorry, but I feel so proud of myself. Sakura smiled. You did great out there too, Sasuke-kun. Yes, well, you were the one that came up with the plan. Sasuke replied, turning away from the girl. You deserve most of the praise. Sakura sighed happily. Things were going perfect for her. She had passed her Jonin sensei's test, her team got along fantastically, and she was finally starting to get respect from Sasuke. If this was all some dream, she never wanted to wake up. She broke out of her happy thoughts when she noticed her other teammate didn't seem as happy about their accomplishment as she and Sasuke did. Sakura frowned, staring at her blonde teammate who sat to her left, not digging into his ramen with his usual vigor. It was Naruto's suggestion to go to Ichiraku's to celebrate passing their test, but he seemed to be less excited than he had been before. Naruto was just sitting in his seat, quietly eating his meal with a thoughtful expression on his face. To tell the truth, Sakura found herself a little annoyed by his lack of enthusiasm. Naruto, is something wrong? Sakura asked, getting the boy's attention. I've just got a lot on my mind right now. Naruto replied, idly swirling his ramen around with his chopsticks. His mind was in disarray over what he had talked about to Kakashi a little while ago. While he had laughed at the idea of messing with his calm and collected sensei at first, just thinking about what he said to his sensei made him nervous. Kakashi was one of the people he wanted to share his memories with. What made Naruto so nervous was what Kakashi's reaction would be like if he remembered everything that happened in his past life. He knew that the copy-nin was rational and thought things through, but if he had information about the possible future, would he keep it to himself or tell the entire world? Certain events in his old life had greatly affected the man, and Naruto wasn't sure how he'd take remembering all the things that had been such a surprise to him in the past. Naruto trusted Kakashi with his life in the past, but with knowledge of the future available to him, could he still be trusted? It was impossible to predict his sensei's reaction. Even if he changed his mind and decided that didn't want to share his memories, there was no way he could explain all the things he had said to the copy-nin during the test. He no longer had a choice. Naruto knew that if he was going to make Kakashi understand anything he had said, he was going to have to share his memories with him. It was too late to turn back now. Naruto! The boy snapped out of his reverie when he heard Sakura shout his name. He smiled sheepishly as his teammates who were staring at him with questioning looks on their faces. What's with you? You're acting different than usual. Sakura said, giving him an odd look. Sorry. This is supposed to be a happy time, I know. Naruto chuckled. He sighed wistfully. I've just been thinking about a few things is all. What kinds of things? Sakura asked curiously. It's nothing. Naruto replied, giving her a light smile. Of course, they didn't know what was on his mind. They couldn't know. They hadn't heard his conversation with Kakashi at the training grounds. If they had, they'd be asking a lot more questions. It's not like he could have explained it to them anyway. Are you worried about the missions we'll be doing? Sasuke asked calmly, taking a bite out of his meal. I guess. Naruto answered, lying through his teeth. If anything, he should at least give them a fake reason so they wouldn't ask too many questions. You don't need to worry about that, Sasuke said as he continued to eat his meal. After all, you've got us with you. Naruto stared at him. Yeah. Missions will be dangerous, but as long as we stick together as a team, I'm sure we'll pull through okay. Sakura smiled at him. Naruto chuckled. Dangerous, if only they knew. We're friends, right? The demon container's eyes widened when he heard the words come out of Sasuke's mouth. Naruto stared at the Uchiha who made a point of only focusing on the meal in front of him. Friends look out for each other. Sasuke went on. So don't worry about the missions we'll be doing, scaredy cat. Naruto smiled at his team. Already they had regained the bonds he thought he had lost in his past life. If Sasuke could give a motivational friend speech when he was feeling down, then maybe sharing his memories with Kakashi would turn out okay after all. Meh, I'm not so much worried about myself so much as I'm worried about you. Naruto smirked, making Sasuke raise an eyebrow. The pretty boy is always the first to go. Funny. Sasuke replied, giving him a low chuckle. Let's just take this time to celebrate. Sakura said, also giggling at Naruto's joke. You can worry about missions later, Naruto. Naruto nodded and dove into his meal. Sasuke and Sakura nodded at his vigor, glad he was back to normal. The blonde was truly grateful for his friend's words. It gave him hope for the future. Things will turn out better this time. I know it. Kakashi stared at the glass in front of him. It was his first glass of beer and he hadn't so much as touched it yet. Kakashi sighed. He knew he'd have to be sober if he was going to listen to Naruto's explanations, whatever they might be. The copynin glanced at the clock that was perched high on the wall inside the tavern. 4 hours left. Kakashi grumbled to himself. Kakashi was a veteran ninja who had been trained to control his emotions and show no emotion unless the situation called for it. He hadn't ever felt as impatient as he did now. It had been a long time since he had felt anxiety. It had been many years since he had felt so much anticipation. Kakashi slammed his head against the bar table and groaned in frustration. He hated feeling like this. I had no reason to abandon him. Kakashi whispered to himself. Old memories that he thought he suppressed long ago swarmed in his mind. There were so many things that he could have done in the past to help Naruto. But he had ignored him. He had never even met with the boy until yesterday. I wonder if Minato-sensei would forgive me. Kakashi asked himself quietly. Would he forgive him for abandoning his only son? Kakashi shook his head. Was it wrong to forget things that were only painful to remember? Hadn't he suffered enough already? He had thought that he'd never have to deal with painful memories of his sensei and team ever again. It was what Kakashi thought was best. But now, his memories had come to bite him in the back. Naruto was just one big reminder of the past. No. I'm sure he suffered too. Kakashi murmured. It was selfish of Kakashi to think that he was the only one who had suffered. He knew how the villagers treated Naruto. And Naruto knew that Kakashi had known about him but ignored him. The question was, would the boy ever forgive him? If he doesn't, I'll have to find some way to make up for it. Kakashi said quietly to himself as he stood up. Sitting in here accomplished nothing. He left with his drink untouched. He knew now that Naruto wasn't the only one with some explaining to do. Naruto walked through the forest towards the training ground he had been at earlier that day. Walking next to him was Uzura in her fox form. The white fox turned her head to look up at her master. You're sure about this, Naruto-sama? The kitsune asked. I am. Even if I wasn't, it's too late now. Naruto replied. There's no way I can't tell him after what I've said today. Waiting until 6 had been torture. He had talked it over with Uzura, who was prepared to share memories between the two ninja when Naruto gave the signal. She would hide in the forest in her fox form until she was needed. Her master wanted to get a few answers out of Kakashi before he made him remember his past life. There were things Naruto wanted to ask his teacher that he never got around to asking during his other life. Alright, I'll call you when the time is right. Naruto relayed to his servant. Understood. I'll be close by. Uzura said, bounding off into the bushes. Naruto stepped out of the woods and into the clearing. It didn't take long to spot his sensei leaning against one of the 3 posts while reading his favorite orange novel. The moment he saw Naruto, his book quickly snapped shut. Kakashi looked up at his student wearily. Naruto smiled a bit. It would appear that his sensei was anticipating this chat just as much as he was. Good evening, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto smiled. To be honest, I'm surprised that you arrived here on time. I couldn't really afford to be late this time, could I? Kakashi replied, his eye crinkling in a smile. They stood in silence for a while. Kakashi stared at his student with a serious gaze while Naruto looked right back. Tension was thick. They both had questions, but neither was sure how to go about asking said questions. So, how should we start this conversation? Naruto asked curiously, breaking the silence. Should I start, or do you want to go first? You ask the questions for now. Kakashi sighed, surprising Naruto with his answer. He chuckled a bit at Naruto's puzzled expression. I've ignored you for a great number of years now. You deserve answers more than I deserve to ask questions. Alright then. Naruto nodded, smiling lightly at his sensei. I don't have a lot. A few questions should be enough for me. Naruto sighed, fixing his sensei with a serious gaze. First, I'd like you to tell me about my father, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. How did you feel about him? He was the man I respected most. He was my role model. Kakashi said, sighing as he remembered his dead teacher. He always put others before himself. Even before he became Hokage, he was always looking out for the well-being of the village. He was what I considered to be a true ninja. I see. I never knew much about my father or my mother. Naruto sighed. You knew Kushina Uzumaki, right? Of course. Minato-sensei loved her dearly. Then you knew my last name belonged to her. Naruto pointed out. You already knew that I was Minato's son, but even if you didn't, you should have thought that the identical last names were more than just coincidence. I know. Kakashi sighed. Your mother Kushina was a member of the Uzumaki clan whose home was Uzushigakure, the land of whirlpools. It was destroyed during the Great Shinobi War, and with it the Uzumaki clan. The fact that you had the same last name was no coincidence to those who knew of the clan in Whirlpool. Mom was one of the few survivors, but she took the last name Namikaze when she married Dad. Naruto said, nodding to himself. People forgot about the village and its dead residents. But if you knew me, then why didn't you help me? Why didn't you take care of me? Naruto stared at Kakashi. This was the one question he had been wanted to ask the most. I was afraid. Kakashi murmured quietly. Naruto looked at him expectantly, waiting for him to continue. Kakashi took a deep breath. I was ashamed. I had lost Obito and Rin due to my own weaknesses as a child. I trained every day to protect the one who mattered most to me. When I had failed to do that, I couldn't take it. I went into a depression that lasted for weeks, maybe months. It was hard to keep track of time. An old friend who was also struck with grief over the loss of Minato-sensei helped me out of my depression. Who was that? Jiraiya. He was your father's sensei. Kakashi answered. That pervy sage. Naruto thought fondly. He wondered when he'd see the old man again. Naruto shook his head. Now wasn't the time to be thinking of him. He had told me that if sensei were alive, he'd never want to see like this. Kakashi continued. He had told me that I had experienced enough pain, and that I should look towards the future instead of mourning over the past. As I was slowly recovering from the pain of losing those close to me, Jiraiya came to me and said he was going away for a while. He had asked me to do something for him. Something that would have made Minato-sensei happy. What did he ask you to do? Naruto asked anxiously. You did what he asked, right? Kakashi braced himself. He slowly opened his mouth to answer Naruto's question. He had told me to take care of Minato and Kushina's only son, the new Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed demon fox. Kakashi answered. He had asked me to be your guardian. Silence. Naruto stared at Kakashi with wide eyes, who was clenching his fists together in frustration. With everything he knew and all the memories he had, this was something Naruto had never known. To think that such a request had been made in the past. Kakashi was never one to turn down the requests of those he cared for, so why didn't he accept this one? Why hadn't he been there for him when he had been asked specifically? Jiraiya left without an answer from me. I was supposed to be there for you. Kakashi seethed, growing more frustrated with himself with each passing second. But I didn't. While I had learned to deal with the pain of loss, I was afraid of experiencing it again. Just thinking about you reminded me of my sensei, a memory that I forcibly repressed. I was still young, barely an adult when I was asked to become your guardian. How could I even think of protecting you when I couldn't protect my own team? Kakashi sighed. Naruto watched as his sensei took a deep breath and let his muscles relax. The copy stared at the ground with a miserable expression. Knowing that my teacher's son was alive brought me great joy. But at the same time, I couldn't stand the thought of you. I was afraid I couldn't protect you. I ran away from my duty. Kakashi said sadly. I went to the Hokage and asked him to take care of you. I even quit the ANBU squad and asked to become a Jonin instructor, following my sensei's footsteps. Over time I learned to suppress my painful memories to the point where I had completely forgotten about you. I hardly ever thought about my sensei's family. I just spent my days reading books, going on missions, drinking with friends, and had many teams assigned to me, all of which I failed because they didn't show enough teamwork. Your team was actually the fifth to pass my bell test. Aren't we the lucky ones, huh? Naruto smirked. Kakashi allowed himself a small chuckle. When I saw that you had been assigned to me, memories began flooding back to me. Kakashi went on. I buried them deep within my mind, hoping to forget them again. It wasn't until earlier today when you asked those questions during the test that Kakashi trailed off. Naruto just stared back at him. I was so caught up in my feelings of regret and remorse that I abandoned you. Kakashi sighed. I had even forced myself to forget that Minato even had a son. Naruto turned away from his sensei, a new question forming on his lips. Do you hate me? What his teacher did next shocked Naruto more than anything he had seen so far. Kakashi dropped down to his knees and bowed in front of the blonde, his forehead touching the earth. I have never hated you, Naruto. Kakashi said fiercely, keeping his head to the ground. I was a fool who drowned himself in self-pity. I abandoned you because of my own fears. I should have protected you. I should have been there for you. I betrayed you and Minato-sensei. Nothing I say could ever justify what I did to you, but all I can say is that I'm sorry, Naruto. I am so sorry. If Kakashi's head was raised, he would be shocked to see what kind of face Naruto had. Naruto just smiled at the copy ninja. Surprisingly, he didn't feel any anger towards his sensei. Rather than anger, he felt a new understanding and relation to his teacher. Only after living two lives could Naruto truly understand what kind of pain Kakashi had felt when the people he loved most of all died. Naruto understood his sensei even more than before. He knew what it felt like to be weak and how regret could affect a person. Stand up. It feels weird to see you bow to me, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, quickly jogging over to the man and forcing him to stand up. I understand if you resent me. Kakashi muttered, turning away from the boy. I'll try my best to make up for it, but I know that I don't hate you. Naruto interjected, surprising the older ninja when he grinned at him. If anything, I feel like I understand you even more than I did before. Than you did before. Kakashi said, perplexed by his statement. All his questions about how he knew about Minato and his teammates suddenly came back to him. That's right. I wanted to ask how you knew those things. I'll answer all your questions. Naruto nodded, stepping away from his teacher. If I had any doubts, before I have none now. I'm prepared to share my memories with you, Kakashi-sensei. I can't do it by myself though. Share memories? Uzura. Come here. Naruto shouted into the forest. They both waited in quiet silence for a few moments. Kakashi turned his head when the sound of rustling bushes caught his attention. A white fox suddenly bounded out of the brush and jumped in between the two of them. Kakashi was more than a bit surprised by this, and had already drawn a kunai in order to slay the creature. He stopped short when a white light started to emit from the kitsune. Kakashi watched in wonder and amazement as the fox transformed before his very eyes. Naruto almost chuckled at the look on his sensei's face, remembering how surprised he had been when he saw Uzura transform. In a matter of seconds, the white fox had disappeared and, in its place, stood a beautiful girl with silvery white hair wearing an orange kimono. Uzura bowed to the Kakashi, who was at a loss for words. Pleased to meet you, Kakashi-san. I am Uzura, Naruto-sama's servant. Uzura greeted. Servant? Kakashi asked, arching an eyebrow at his student. Don't ask. Naruto groaned, rolling his eyes. He took a deep breath and exhaled. Okay, Uzura, do whatever it is you need to do. I will start then. Uzura nodded, quickly performing a couple hand signs. Hold on, what about my questions? Kakashi demanded, stepping forward. He stopped short when he felt Uzura press her index and middle fingers to his forehead. She did the same to Naruto with her other hand. I told you, they'll be answered. Naruto smiled at his sensei. I don't hold any resentment towards you, sensei. If you had told me this before, I may have, but only after living one life and starting a new one can I say that I truly understand the pain you went through as a kid. What are you talking about? Kakashi asked, Naruto's words puzzling him to no end. You will now experience life through another's eyes. Uzura cut in, closing her eyes as a green glow emitted from her fingers. Naruto-sama has decided to share his memories with you. Remember your past life. Kakashi-san, past life? Just as he was about to ask more, a bright flash blinded his vision. Suddenly, his mind started feeding him a variety of images. All the pictures had him doing things he never experienced. Memory, remember, Kakashi-san. Uzura whispered, taking her hand back from him. Kakashi dropped to his knees, clutching his head as new memories flooded his mind. It was like something had burst inside his head, letting loose all these memories of another life he didn't know he had lived. He saw his students, Sasuke leaving, unlocking his Mangekyo Sharingan, fighting the Akatsuki, fighting and nearly getting killed by Pain, fighting Sasuke, protecting Naruto from Madara. And then it all ended with his death. One memory stood apart from the rest though. The night before they had gone to fight Madara. Yo, Naruto. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto stopped walking as his sensei gave him a lazy wave, marking his page in his favorite novel of Ika Ika and placing it in his pocket. The moon was high above their heads. The streets of Konoha were surprisingly vacant. Kakashi's visible eye crinkled as he smiled at his student. Should you be up this late? You've got a big day tomorrow. Kakashi said merrily. The way you say that makes it sounds like tomorrow's battle is no big deal. Naruto chuckled softly as he looked up at the stars. I just needed some time to think. I needed to go for a walk. The Rokude needs time to clear his mind before the battle. Kakashi smiled, making Naruto smile a bit when he mentioned his future title. Anything you want to get off your chest? I'm all ears. That's okay. I'd prefer it if I could think things over by myself for now. Naruto replied, stepping past his teacher. It will be the hardest battle I've ever fought. I need to stay focused. I need to be strong. Even if it costs me my life, I'll make sure no one dies tomorrow. You've grown up. Kakashi remarked, making Naruto stop again. You've grown into quite the ninja, Naruto. Thanks for saying so. Naruto smiled gratefully. But I couldn't have gotten to where I am without my friends or your help, Kakashi-sensei. Your father would have been proud you. Kakashi said softly. Naruto's eyes widened in shock as he turned towards his teacher. You knew my father. Naruto said in disbelief. I never told you? Must have slipped my mind. Kakashi smiled lightly, turning to face his student. Slipped your mind? Naruto deadpanned. And you remembered just now? I was actually your father's student. Kakashi smiled, making Naruto's jaw drop. Why, you're kidding. Seriously, I didn't tell you? Kakashi laughed. My, aren't I the forgetful one? Kakashi-sensei. Why didn't you tell me? Naruto demanded. If you were my dad's student, you must have been close. You must have known I was his son. Why didn't you tell me before? I really had forgotten. Kakashi shrugged while Naruto stared at him disbelievingly. Kakashi turned away from his student. Sometimes you force yourself to forget painful things, Kakashi-sensei. His teacher just smiled apologetically at him. Kakashi looked up at the stars. Would you like to hear more about me and your father? Naturally, Naruto said yes. Kakashi went on to tell Naruto of all his adventures with Minato and being a part of his team. He told Naruto about Obito, Rin, how he got his Sharingan, fighting in the war, becoming an ANBU, about Naruto's mother, Kushina, and about his own relationship with his father. Naruto saw a side of Kakashi he had never seen before. All the things Kakashi was saying about his dad made him feel proud to be his son. All the things he was learning about Kakashi made him feel like he understood his sensei better. Wow, my dad was a pretty great person, wasn't he? Naruto smiled. One of the greatest. Kakashi replied. And now I know why you're always late to everything and how you got the Sharingan. Naruto grinned at his sensei. It turned into a sympathetic smile. It must have been hard to see him die. Yeah. Kakashi smiled a bit in remembrance of his old teammate. So, you didn't tell me about my dad because it was too painful for you to bring up? Naruto asked quietly. I'm sure that's one of the reasons. Kakashi replied, surprising Naruto a bit by his answer. The copy nin let out a small chuckle. But really, what difference would it have made if I had told you who your father was? It would have been cool to brag to people that I was the son of the fourth Hokage. Naruto grinned. Kakashi gave a low chuckle in response. Naruto frowned. But why did you decide to bring it up now? What's the point in telling me you were my dad's student if you never bothered to mention it before? Obito died with regrets. Kakashi said with a small sigh. Naruto raised his eyebrows at the man. He wished that we had more time as friends and he never got to confess his feelings to Rin. I just felt that if I died tomorrow without telling you that I knew your father, I'd regret it. Ha! Naruto just nodded to Kakashi's response. He honestly didn't know how else he should respond to what his sensei had said. Naruto looked up at the starry sky. Ero-sensei once said that when one dies, they shouldn't have any regrets. I wonder if I'll have any regrets when I die. I certainly hope not. Kakashi said. It's best to get things off your chest while you still have the chance. You never know when the next day is gonna be your last. That's true. Naruto said. He smiled at his sensei. But I'm not gonna die. Too many people are counting on me. I have to show everyone what the next Hokage can do. Your father would be so proud if he could see you now. Kakashi smiled at the youth. I know I am. Thanks. The future Rokudaime smiled, touched by his teacher's rare praise. Hey, if I'm still alive after tomorrow's battle, I'll tell you more stories about my team and your father. Kakashi smiled. Besides, there are a few other things I still need to tell you. Won't that be painful for you? Maybe, but you deserve to know more about your father. I'm just willing to brag about all the adventures I had with him back when I was young. Kakashi smirked underneath his mask. Ha! Well, I'd be happy to hear about those stories. Naruto smiled. And maybe, after tomorrow you can finally look back on those memories without pain. Well, from what you've told me, all you feel is pain when you think about my dad and your old team. Naruto said, turning away from his teacher. When I think about all the fun times I had with Sasuke and Jiraiya, I'm not hurt by thoughts of their betrayal or death. Rather, I find myself smiling at the fun times we shared together. Naruto turned his head back and grinned at his sensei. I hope that one day you'll be able to look back on those days with a smile. Naruto grinned. Kakashi just stared at his student. As he did so, he could have sworn that he felt Obito, Rin, and Minato smiling at him from behind Naruto's back. The copy nin just laughed and smiled at his student. I hope so too. The next day, Kakashi had confronted Madara with Naruto. Kakashi had protected Naruto. The copy ninja had taken a fatal blow from the ancient Uchiha when he punched through his chest. As his life bled away, Kakashi smiled and thought about all the warm memories he had shared with those close to him. Then he died. Naruto looked down at his sensei silently. Uzura stepped behind him, also fixing Kakashi with a serious gaze. The copy's nin harsh, ragged breathing slowly subsided as his mind finally calmed down. Kakashi slowly stood up, meeting Naruto's gaze. The young ninja looked at his sensei expectantly. He felt anxiety build up inside him. Now he would get to see how Kakashi would react. Would he be alright? Kakashi just stared at his student as his mind sorted itself out. All his old memories fell into place. He felt himself relax and loosen up. He raised his eyebrow a bit when he noticed Naruto fidgeting in place, waiting for some kind of response. Truthfully, Kakashi wasn't quite sure what to say. Naruto stiffened when the Jonin brought a hand up to adjust his lopsided headband. What was that? Kakashi wondered aloud. Naruto smiled lightly at him. Sit down, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto smiled as sat down on the grass. I'll explain everything. Naruto spent the next hour explaining everything that had happened to his sensei. He told Kakashi everything that had happened, starting from his reunion with his parents in the netherworld to sharing his memories with him today. Kakashi just sat through it all, nodding occasionally in understanding. Naruto didn't stop there though. He told Kakashi about his plans to change the future too. He told him about the talk he had with the Kyuubi and his plan to bring the other demon containers together. He told Kakashi about Uzura and who else he planned to share his memories with. Kakashi just listened to him, not saying a word. After Naruto was done, he gave Kakashi a few moments to let it all sink in. "You've got a lot of work to do," Kakashi replied after a few moments of silence. "You think I don't know that?" Naruto said, scoffing at his sensei a bit. Naruto played with the grass under his fingers. "Changing things won't be easy, I know that. That's why I'm worried. To think all that happened and to know we have a second chance to do things over." Kakashi trailed off. "I'm still having trouble believing it all," Naruto admitted. "I mean, I saw you die in my past life. You couldn't even imagine what it felt like to see you alive again. I think I understand a bit," Kakashi said, turning towards the boy. "After all, I've got my memories back now too. Hell, I met with people today I saw die in our other life. It's all pretty unbelievable." Naruto nodded to himself. Now for the moment of truth. He turned towards his teacher. "What are you going to do now?" Naruto asked anxiously. "What do you mean by that?" Kakashi asked his student. "Well, you know what's going to happen in the future, don't you?" Naruto asked, fidgeting nervously as he spoke. "Don't you want to try and change things yourself? Don't you want to tell anyone about the Akatsuki or Madara? You know about my plans, but don't you disagree with them? I mean, why listen to me when you could change things on your own too?" Kakashi stared at his student. He could tell the boy was worried. Kakashi smiled at his student. Naruto was afraid that he didn't have his trust. "Naruto, I made many mistakes in my past life too." Kakashi sighed, looking up at the orange sky. The sun was already setting. "I don't just mean with my old team. I blamed myself for letting Sasuke go. I felt like I helped make him think he had to be the strongest in order to fight Itachi. I didn't show you the attention I should have when you were a kid. Minato would have probably been ashamed of me if he knew, and Kushina would have killed me if she had known what I had let happen to you." This earned a small chuckle from Naruto. "But I'll stand behind you this time. I won't abandon you like I did all those years ago. Still, don't you want to?" Naruto stopped talking when he felt Kakashi's hand on his head. He grunted when the Jonin ruffled his blonde locks. Kakashi chuckled when Naruto brushed him off. The man smiled at the Jinchuriki. "Naruto, I trust you," Kakashi said fiercely. Naruto stared at him. "I'll help you. I'll do whatever I can to help you change the future. I know you'll succeed this time. I'll be here to support you and give you guidance whenever you need it, I promise. Konoha's future Hokage won't fail a second time." Naruto stared at his teacher. The boy smiled and wiped his eyes when a few tears clouded his vision. "Thank you, Kakashi-sensei, thank you." Naruto grinned. "That's what I'm here for." The white-haired man smiled. He gave Naruto a light shove. "Bet you had a fun time messing with my head earlier today. It's not every day you get to see me so shaken up. Hey, I had to get your attention." Naruto chuckled, swatting away his sensei's arm. "Plus, it all worked out in the end, right? Can't argue with the results." Kakashi shrugged smilingly. He got up as Naruto hopped to his feet. "We still have more to talk about though regarding your plans. I was hoping to hear your opinion." Naruto grinned. "But not right now. It's getting late, so we'll talk tomorrow. Same place at noon? Sounds good." Kakashi nodded. "And Naruto?" "Yeah." Kakashi extended his hand towards Naruto, smiling under his mask. "I'm sorry." The copy nin's eyes widened when Naruto rushed forward and hugged him instead of taking his hand. Kakashi looked down, bewildered at the boy's actions. "I've already forgiven you," Naruto murmured. "Yeah." Kakashi smiled down at the boy, gently patting his back. Naruto released his sensei. The Jonin smiled and waved him off, promising not to be late to their meeting. The blonde waved until his teacher was out of sight. Naruto smiled and stared up at the sky, which was a dark shade of blue. Stars were already starting to appear. Is Naruto-sama happy? Uzura asked from behind him. Very happy. Naruto answered as he continued to look at the sky. His back was to Uzura. I really feel like Kakashi-sensei and I can understand each other better now. I'm not mad at him for abandoning me, but rather I'm happy that he's agreed to help me. I am happy that Kakashi-san has agreed to lend us his aid. Yeah. It really makes me feel confident about the future. Naruto smiled. So, you're not sad at all? Naruto frowned at the question. He turned towards the Inari Kitsune. Her head was bowed so that her white bangs covered her eyes. What reason would I have to be sad? Naruto asked curiously, taking a few steps towards the girl. It's just that you've gone through so much, and to know that you smiled through most of it is just... Uzura trailed off. Doesn't Naruto-sama feel even a little bit sad? Naruto was a little perturbed by her unusual behavior. What brought on these questions, he wondered. He stepped closer to the fox girl and tried to get a better look at her face. Uzura? Naruto's eyes widened when he suddenly felt her arms wrap around his midsection. Naruto blushed when he felt some stuff pressed against his chest. What was wrong with her? What had caused her to hug him like this? I had no idea that Naruto-sama had gone through so much. Uzura whispered softly, her voice calming him down a bit. Naruto stared down at her with a perplexed look. The villagers treated you so harshly, no one was there for you when you were young. No one was there to help you, no one was there to comfort you, you didn't have anyone to hug or hold you when you felt alone. Uzura, do you? Naruto whispered, his eyes wide. He suddenly understood why she was acting the way she was and saying the things she was. It just came to him. My memory sharing technique has a side effect to it. Uzura answered for him, almost like she was reading his mind. For the person's memory I'm sharing, their memories are also given to me. I saw everything. You also have my memories? Naruto asked quietly. Did you get Kakashi-sensei's memories too? He felt the girl shake her head against his chest. Like I said, I only gain the memories of the person who's giving his memory to someone else. I'm just amazed by Naruto-sama's strength. Uzura said softly. The things you were subjected to would have broken most people. How were you able to stand it all? Well, I'm not really sure how I was able to take all the villagers' hate for so long. Naruto replied. I never really blamed the villagers for their hate, since it was really directed at the Kyuubi and not so much at me. They just needed someone to blame to forget the pain of the past. Eventually, I decided that I could be the person they admired and looked up to instead. He felt Uzura's arms tighten around him. It must have been painful for you at times. It was sometimes. Naruto admitted. He was surprised when his arms found their way around the girl. But I was confident that things could get better. I was determined to change how people looked at me. In a way, it's similar to how things are for me now. I want to change the future so that I can avoid certain things that I regretted in my past life. I'm not sad because I have people like you and Kakashi-sensei to help me. Naruto looked down at the girl, who raised her head to look at him. He was shocked to find tears lingering in the corners of her purple eyes. Naruto-sama, you have my promise that things will change for the better. I'll make it so. Uzura said fiercely, breaking away from him. I make sure that you won't have to go through any pain like that ever again. I will protect you as well as the ones you love. I never had any doubt about that. Naruto smiled at her. I'm really glad I have someone like you to help me, Uzura. The girl smiled warmly at him. Naruto grinned a bit and felt his face burn when he saw that radiant smile. Uzura bowed her head at him. Naruto-sama is a really kind master. You're a great friend. Naruto smiled, making her raise her head again. And thanks for, comforting me. I will always be here when Naruto-sama is feeling sad. Uzura smiled. I will do my best to make sure you are happy. Thanks. Naruto smiled at the kitsune. Shall we head home then? Not right now. Naruto shook his head at her. I think I'll go for a walk in the village. Maybe I'll hit Ichiraku's while I'm there. I feel like I need to clear my mind. Very well. Uzura nodded to him. I'll wait patiently for your safe return. You do that. Naruto chuckled lightly as the girl turned and disappeared into the forest. He turned around and walked down the trail that led to the village. He was really glad he had someone like Uzura around to help him out, and it was nice to know that someone would be there to hug him when he was feeling down this time around. Naruto walked quietly through the streets of Konoha. Only the lights from various stores and stands illuminated the area around him. The blonde took a quick glance up at the night sky and yawned. What a day! Naruto groaned to himself. He had told Uzura to go back to the house without him. Not only because he wanted to hit Ichiraku's before turning in for the night, but because he was still a little surprised by her actions. While he had been touched by her words, he couldn't help but think that her reaction was a little too dramatic. He had come to terms with the harsh aspects of his life long ago, and he was sure that he'd made it clear that sorrow and regret would not bring him down. Maybe it has something to do with her old life. Naruto murmured to himself. He had never inquired Uzura about her past life so far, and was a bit surprised that he hadn't. Since when had he stopped being so curious and nosy? Still, one of the other things he had learned in the past was that if someone didn't want to talk about their past, it was better if the subject was left on its own. That doesn't mean I won't ask about it though. Hell, if she knew everything about his past, then wasn't it only fair for her to share her past with him as well? Naruto shook his head. While he acknowledged her strength, eager attitude, and tactful thinking, Uzura was soft-spoken and seems like a delicate person. She could be hard to read at times too. Naruto's thoughts broke off from the kitsune when he noticed someone walk past him in the street. While the person's head had been bowed, the oversized white jacket and short, raven hair had been a dead giveaway. Naruto pulled up his biggest grin and turned around. Hey Hinata! The Hyuga stiffened when she heard her name called. Hinata had departed from the training grounds not too long ago. She and her team had been given a test by their sensei, Yuhi Kurenai, to see whether or not they were truly ready to become ninjas. It had taken them the entire day just to pass the test. She had been musing about how disappointed her father would be with her when she told him until someone greeted her. Hinata was shocked and overjoyed when she turned around and found that it was Naruto who had greeted her. And Naruto-kun. Hinata stammered, cursing herself for her loud greeting. How are you? She internally berated herself again. Now she was being too quiet. I'm fine. Just decided to go for a walk to think about a few things. You know, clear my mind and all that. Naruto grinned at the girl. Is something troubling you? Hinata asked curiously. Not particularly. Naruto shrugged. What? A guy can't take a stroll unless something's bothering him? And no. I didn't mean. Hinata blushed, thinking she had offended him. Hey, calm down. It was just a joke. Naruto smiled at her, causing her blush to darken. Lighten up. Sorry. Hinata mumbled, bowing her head slightly. Naruto grinned at her. He felt a little bad about teasing her, but he couldn't resist. She was just so damn adorable when she was blushing. The blonde's smile vanished when the memory of her death flashed in his mind. Just the thought of her dying in his arms was already starting to make him sad and angry. Naruto brushed off those emotions. She was here, in front of him, alive and breathing. Secretly, one thing he had regretted in the past was that he had never really gotten the chance to court the beautiful Hyuga. After she had confessed during the fight with Pain, everything else just sorta happened. They'd get together and talk, they held hands most of the time, shared lots of hugs, but had never gone on any dates. Hinata had been the one to initiate the relationship, and he had always hated his obliviousness towards her feelings in the past. Naruto's smile returned when he remembered a warmer, more precious memory to him. A first kiss, a night of passion, being with someone you love. Hey, Hinata, you want to go to Ichiraku's with me and get something to eat? Hinata's head shot up, her expression was a look of shock and disbelief. Naruto grinned. And now I have a second chance with her too. Come on. It's on me. Naruto smiled, grabbing her hand. His grin widened when he heard her gasp in surprised joy. Ichiraku's has the best ramen in the village. Hinata just nodded dumbly as she allowed her crush to pull her through the streets. Was this all some kind of dream? It was a wonder he had even greeted her. Since when did he start paying attention to her? And now he was taking her out to eat? Her blush intensified when she felt Naruto give her hand a light squeeze. Or was that just her imagination? She didn't know what had brought this on, but she thanked whatever gods existed for letting this happen to her. Naruto led Hinata to the ramen stand and gestured for her to sit down. He sat down next to her only after she had taken a seat. Naruto ordered 2 bowls of ramen from Tucci, who got to work right away. Kiiam gave Naruto a sly look when she saw he had brought a girl with him. Naruto just grinned at the older girl, turning his attention to Hinata while they waited for their food. So Hinata, how do you like your team? Naruto asked. Oh. They are all kind to me. Kurenai-sensei is good, kind teacher. Hinata replied, blushing at the attention Naruto was giving her. Kiba and Shino were kind and patient with me as well. I am sure we'll all get along just fine. I'm glad to hear that. Naruto smiled. A nice girl like you deserves to be treated with respect. Hinata just stared at him. Was he showing concern for her? What about you, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, determined to keep the conversation going. She was finally spending some quality time with Naruto. She would not screw this up. Do you like your team as well? We have our differences, but we're all good friends. Naruto answered. Sakura and Sasuke are good teammates, and my sensei Kakashi is nice too. He doesn't act anything like how I expected Jonin to be, but that's what makes him an interesting sensei. What makes him different? Hinata asked curiously. He always arrives late to things, he never takes off his mask, and he's always reading this small orange book he keeps in his pocket. What's the book about? Naruto grinned to himself. He was guilty of reading Jiraiya's books in the past. There were even some chapters he had memorized by heart. A certain chapter in volume 16 came to mind. Well, I did get him to read a passage to me. I guess I could tell you, but it's a little crude. Naruto gave the offer. Now all she had to do was give him permission. I don't mind. Hinata smiled. She rolled her eyes when she remembered some of Kiba's innuendos he had told her during their test. All right then. Naruto grinned, leaning closer to her. Hinata blushed at his close proximity. It starts out like this, a girl named Nao and her boyfriend. The redness that engulfed Hinata's face would have probably put a tomato to shame. She almost fainted when Naruto began to describe a very explicit scene from Kakashi's Ika Paradise book. She quickly covered Naruto's mouth with both her hands when a whip and whipped cream was brought into the description. I don't need to hear anymore. Hinata said loudly as she tried to forget all the things Naruto had told her. What kind of person is your sensei? Like I said, he's interesting. Naruto grinned, laughing lightly at her red face. He sure isn't what I expected a Jonin to be like. He sounds like a pervert to me. Hinata huffed, crossing her arms as she tried to reduce the heat in her face. Naruto grinned happily to himself. He was glad things were going so smoothly. Maybe he had gone a bit far by telling her about Ika, but it didn't seem like Hinata was mad at him for telling her. She had insisted on his telling her about the book, of course. Naruto smiled warmly as he looked at the blushing girl beside him. Being together with Hinata again felt great. Seeing her alive again almost made him want to cry tears of joy. Still, he couldn't help but feel a little bit impatient. Things had happened pretty quickly between them in his past life. It was partly due to their maturity and need to be together as much as possible when they weren't fighting that had helped their relationship move along so quickly. Hinata had been braver and more outspoken then. Right now, she was back to being the shy, soft-spoken Hyuga heiress who had little to no confidence in her abilities and in herself. While he planned to rectify that as soon as he could, he would have to take things slow with her now. He could tolerate that, but her longed to hold her hand in hers again. Naruto wished the walk to Ichiraku's had been longer so he would have had an excuse to hold Hinata's hand longer. He considered giving her memories back, but there was no way he'd want to burden her with the pain of the past. He wouldn't dare reveal that her sacrifice had not prevented his death. That would be much too painful. Naruto just wished he could just take her in his arms, hold her close, look deep into her lavender eyes, and if she would allow it, maybe get around to sharing another kiss with her and Naruto-kun? Naruto's eyes widened when he realized his slip-up. He blushed a bit when he realized Hinata had been staring at her for quite some time now. Still, his blush couldn't even compare to hers. That color of red should be reserved for inanimate objects only. He coughed as Kiiam placed 2 bowls of ramen in front of them, giggling as she left them alone. Sorry. Did you say something? Naruto chuckled nervously, hoping he hadn't offended her. I was just wondering if your sensei had you and your team take a test today. Hinata stammered, trying to fight back her blush. Why was he staring at me? Hinata thought embarrassingly. Did she have something on her face? Why yeah. He made us do a test where we had to use teamwork to grab some bells from him. Naruto grinned, trying to extinguish the embarrassment he suddenly felt. He gave us until noon, which didn't leave a lot of time to complete the test, but we got it done. Oh. I'm happy that you were able to pass your sensei's test. Hinata smiled at him, the topic subject reminding her of what she had thinking about before running into Naruto. The blonde raised his eyebrows when he noticed her downcast expression and slumped shoulders. We had to do something similar. Why do you sound so depressed? You passed, right? Yes, we did. But the results were unsatisfactory, or at least to my father they will be. Hinata said sadly. I'm not all that strong, and I only held my team back during the test. Kurenai-sensei's test was to land at least 1 hit on her. She had trapped us in a genjutsu and we spent the entire day trying to get out of it. Hinata sighed miserably to herself. Father only expects perfection. To know that I had been deceived so easily will just disappoint him again. To others, I'm just a failure. Her being a huge disappointment to her father was nothing new, but it still didn't make the pain any less. She was a genius or perfect daughter like Neji or Hanabi. I don't think so. Hinata gasped at Naruto's words. She raised her head and blushed when she found Naruto smiling at her. Hinata, I can tell just by looking at you that you've got lots of potential. You just don't seem to have enough confidence to use it. Naruto grinned at her. You should stop worrying about what your family thinks of you. You're the kind of girl that works hard and never gives up. That's not what a failure sounds like to me. Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered softly. The things he was saying to her, she had never felt so happy. You're a great girl, Hinata. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Naruto smiled. And if you're afraid of failing or disappointing those around you, know that there is nothing you could ever do to disappoint me. Hinata was too surprised to feel embarrassed. No one had ever said such kind words to her before. And to think Naruto, the boy she cared about and looked up to, was saying these things made her feel so happy. Yet, since when did he act so familiar with her? Hey, Naruto-kun? Hinata spoke up, getting the boy's attention. Why did you ask me to come eat with you? Naruto raised his eyebrows at her questioningly. Inside his mind he was mentally scolding himself. He probably shouldn't have said so much. They, or at least from Hinata's perspective, had hardly talked to each other until this point. Of course, she'd find it strange for him to hold her in such high regard when he had only started talking to her yesterday, but he had to show her that he cared. He would enjoy their time together to its fullest. I wanted to hang out with you. Naruto replied shortly as he took a bite out of his meal. It was best not to seem too forward at this point. What other reason could I have? But why would you want to hang out with me? Hinata pressed on. There had to be a reason he was suddenly taking an interest in her right now. Do I need a reason to hang out with you? Naruto asked, giving her an odd look. Hinata blushed. A tiny voice in her mind was screaming at her not to screw up her time with Naruto and just be thankful for everything that was happening and not ask questions, but she couldn't help herself. Why did he want to hang out with her all of a sudden? It's just that we barely talked at all in the academy. Hinata said blushingly. To be honest, I wasn't even sure if you knew who I was. I had tried approaching you before, but you always seemed to ignore me. So why now do you? Do I bother you? No. Hinata shouted, alarmed by his question. Her mind was screaming at her to shut up, but she just kept talking. It's just that I was curious as to why. It's kind of hard to not know someone who stalked you at school. Hinata gasped. Her face was going from red to purple fast from the amount of blood rushing to her face. Naruto was smirking at her. You'd always hide behind corners or trees in the academy and spy on me. Naruto smirked, chuckling at Hinata's priceless expression. You even followed me home sometimes. It was kind of hard not to notice you. Hinata just gaped at him and looked down at her lap, at a loss for words. He knew? She had thought that she had been discreet in her observations. But now he was saying that he knew about it? She had never felt more embarrassed in her life. Naruto was trying his best to hold in his laughter. Maybe he was being a bit unfair by pulling knowledge from his past life, but it was the only reason he could think to give her. Hinata had told him about her following him around in his past life sometime after she confessed. He had been surprised that he had never noticed. Still, now that he knew about it, watching the Hyuga's reaction was entertaining. Yukk knew about TT that. Hinata stuttered, afraid to look at him. Yeah. At first I thought you were weird for doing it, but then I realized that you must have been lonely. Naruto said, succeeding in making Hinata raise her head a bit. Is that the reason? Well, not entirely. Hinata admitted, still refusing to look at him completely. It's just that you were always alone. The other kids always made fun of you or ignored you. I was ignored for being heir to a clan and made fun of for my shyness. I guess I felt that you and I were similar and I just took an interest in you. I guess we do have a bit in common then. Naruto agreed, smiling a bit as he remembered his lonely days as a kid. He grinned at Hinata. Sorry. Maybe I was being too forward when I asked you out here. It's not that I am mind, I was just wondering why you suddenly, Hinata trailed off, still too embarrassed to speak. I want to be friends, Hinata. Naruto said, smiling when Hinata finally looked at him. I want to get to know you better. Do you want to be friends? Why yes. Hinata nodded vigorously. Good. Then let's forget about what reasons I may have had or not had about asking you to hang out with me and just enjoy our time together. Naruto grinned. He turned back to his meal, which was surprisingly untouched. You still haven't touched your ramen yet. You should really try it. Best thing you'll have in your whole life. Alright. Hinata smiled, happy when she felt her blush finally recede. The two spent the rest of their time eating and making idle chit-chat with each other. Naruto succeeded in making Hinata laugh and did his best to make her comfortable. Hinata was surprised that the more time they spent together, the less she stuttered and blushed. She was certainly having more fun than she had in long time. Talking with Naruto like this was a dream come true. Hinata was a little disheartened when she finished her meal, and a little amused by the pile of bowls that had suddenly appeared in front of Naruto. She wished they had more time together, and was disappointed that she had to go. However, Naruto surprised her when he offered her his hand when he stepped down from his stool. And Naruto-kun? What are you? Hinata blushed. What? You think I'm gonna ignore the universal rule of not letting a girl walk home alone? Naruto grinned, making the girl blush even more. While I believe you are perfectly capable of handling yourself, I think it's proper for a guy to walk a pretty girl home. Plus, I just needed an excuse to spend more time with you. Hinata smiled brightly at him as she took his hand. She was close to fainting from happiness. Naruto grinned when Hinata accepted his hand. He was glad things had gone so well with her. This was a learning experience, since he knew that he'd have to give their relationship time to evolve on its own. After spending this much time with the Hyuga heiress, he was okay with that. As they walked towards her house, Naruto remembered his other friends. Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, Shino, Lee, Ino, Niji, and Tenten. It wasn't just Hinata or his genin cell he had to make time for. He would go visit them all after he was finished meeting with Kakashi. Naruto smiled to himself as warm memories filled his head. Sasuke and Sakura thought of him as a friend, Kakashi and Uzura would stand beside him and help change things, and now he would have time to enjoy his relationship with Hinata. Knowing all this gave him so much hope for the future. Everything is going to be alright this time. It was what Naruto truly hoped for. Chapter 7. Friendships that transcend time. Pretty big house. Naruto hadn't visited the Hyuga compound much in his past life, but he had always remembered it being large. Standing in front of it always made him feel so small. It would probably take 3 of his clones stacked on top of each other to reach the top of the door. I wonder if Hayashi is compensating for something. Naruto thought to himself. Thank you for walking me home, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned away from the door and smiled at a blushing Hinata. The girl's happy smile made his grin widen. He has enjoyed their time together, and was happy she had let him take her out. Her stuttering had disappeared as they were walking to her house, something else that added to his joy. That meant she was becoming more comfortable around him. Naruto frowned when he felt Hinata slip her hand out of his. He sighed to himself. He'd have to wait a while and let their relationship evolve until he could do that more frequently. He had gotten lucky tonight. I'm really happy that I got a chance to hang out with you today. Hinata said shyly, bowing a bit to him. Maybe, if you're not busy later on, we could. When we're not on missions, we'll hang out again sometime. Naruto grinned. Promise. Yeah. Hinata nodded with a smile. Silence followed after that. Hinata nervously shuffled her feet, waiting for him to say something. Or did he have to say something? Maybe she should just say goodnight and go inside her house. Regardless, this moment was very awkward for Hinata. Naruto was content to stare at the girl with a warm smile on his face. Well, good and I, Hinata-sama. Hinata jumped when she heard her cousin's voice. Naruto turned and stared at the newcomer. He smiled a bit when he found out who had spoke. Hey, Niji. Naruto smiled in greeting. The Hyuga boy raised an eyebrow at him. How do you know me? Niji asked tentatively. You were Rookie of the Year before our class. Naruto replied. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. That is a name I'm unfamiliar with. Niji said slowly, his eyes narrowing a bit. More of a surprise for you then. Naruto grinned. Oof. Niji redirected his attention back at his cousin. Hinata-sama, why are you back so late? It's past your curfew. Oh, well I was taking a test with my team and after that, Hinata stammered, feeling miserable when her stutter returned. The harsh glare Niji was giving her made her feel so uncomfortable. She was with me. Naruto spoke up, stepping between the Hyugas and shielding Hinata from her cousin's gaze. She passed the test her sensei gave her, so I took her out to celebrate. I wasn't aware Hinata-sama had any friends of her own. Niji said bluntly. Hinata's shoulders dropped. For your information, genius, she's got lots of friends. You just don't know them. Naruto retorted, turning his back to the boy, an action which only served to annoy the Hyuga prodigy. He smiled at Hinata. So, I'll see you around, yeah? Definitely. Hinata smiled, grateful for Naruto's intervention. She blushed and stared down at her feet. Good night, Naruto-kun. Yeah. Good night, Hinata. Naruto grinned as he wrapped his arms around her. This action shocked both Hinata and Niji. Naruto smiled mischievously to himself. He did this for Hinata's comfort, and for Niji's displeasure. The blonde did a cheer in his head when he felt Hinata's shaky arms wrap around his midsection. Bye. Hinata smiled and bowed as she broke away from him. She ignored Niji's glare as she practically skipped through the doors to the Hyuga compound. How close are you to my cousin? Niji inquired, turning his attention towards Naruto. Why should it matter to you? Naruto smirked. We're friends. That's all there is to it. Is that so? Yep. Naruto replied. He crossed his arms. So, what's your deal with her? Aren't you her cousin? Hinata doesn't deserve the glares you give her. I always give Hinata-sama and the other main branch members the respect they deserve. Niji bit back at him, bitterness laced in his tone. How I present myself to her is none of your concern. As her friend, and someone who genuinely cares for her, I'm making it my concern. Naruto challenged, stepping towards the Hyuga. Niji tensed and activated his Byakugan. Think before you act, Uzumaki. Niji scowled, prepping himself should the blonde decide to attack. I always do. Naruto smirked, making Niji's glare intensify. Naruto stared at the Hyuga. He had to keep in mind that this wasn't his friend, Neji. This was the bitter lower branch member who hated the main branch for cursing him with the caged bird seal. He held the main branch responsible for the death of his father and hated the weakling he thought Hinata was. Naruto's expression softened when he calmed himself down. He had to be patient with this Neji. I should be turning in for now, Neji said when he saw Naruto made no other threatening movements. He turned and grasped the handle of the doors to the Hyuga compound. You shouldn't blame Hinata for that seal on your forehead, Naruto said, pulling out another memory from his mind. He watched as Neji stiffened and whipped around, his eyes full of surprise. Let's see how this plays out. How do you? Neji trailed off. I get the impression that Hinata gets a lot of hate from her family, Naruto said, glaring at the Hyuga. You hate her for your own reasons and her own father considers her a weakling. It's not good for her self-esteem. If you want that seal gone, you should be supporting Hinata instead of hurting her. Don't talk about things you think you know about, Neji snarled, grabbing the boy by the collar. How you found out about my seal is a mystery to me, but don't act like you understand me or Hinata-sama. You know nothing about what I've been through. Maybe, Naruto admitted. But I know what it feels like to be hated by those around you. All I'm saying is that you should support the future head of the main branch if you want to change things for the better. Future head of the... You're joking. Neji smirked, releasing the blonde. You're not referring to Hinata-sama, are you? Who else would I be talking about? Hinata-sama will never become head of the clan. Neji chuckled. She is destined to always remain the weakling that she is. You're wrong, Naruto said, glaring at the boy. I'll be supporting Hinata every step of the way so that she can change the clan. It is what she wants, after all. Oof. You are a fool, Uzumaki Naruto, Neji said, shaking his head. He turned around and opened the door to the compound. Hey, Neji. Neji turned his head and glared at the blonde, preparing to counter whatever clever retort the boy had thought up. However, to his surprise, he saw that Naruto gave him a wide smile. In a few years, I'll get that seal off your forehead. And Hinata's gonna help me. Naruto grinned, giving the boy a thumbs up. I promise. Neji just stared at him. The conviction, determination and sheer confidence in his voice astounded the prodigy. Naruto made it sound as though it were a sure thing. Still, Neji's hardened expression returned and scoffed at the ignorant boy. You're a fool, Neji muttered as he shut the door behind him. Naruto stared up at the doors to the compound. He folded his arms behind his head and turned on his heel, walking in the direction of his house. You'll see, Neji. Hinata will make things better for the lower branch, Naruto said as an old memory flashed through his mind. So, Neji, how do you feel? The Hyuga boy slowly reached up and touched his forehead. In front of him was his cousin with a scroll of some sort in her hands. Hinata had a look of astounded joy on her face. Naruto stood behind her, laughing with mirth. It worked! It worked! Hinata smiled, embracing her cousin much to his surprise. Neji awkwardly patted his cousin on the back. Here you go, buddy. Naruto laughed, handing the boy a mirror. See for yourself. Neji's eyes widened as he took the mirror with shaky hands. Hinata released him as he gazed at his reflection. It's gone, Neji whispered. He touched his fingers to his forehead again. The caged bird seal was gone. The mirror slipped from his hands and the jonin fell to his knees. His vision turned cloudy when tears sprang from his eyes. Hinata also had tears of joy in her eyes. Naruto embraced her from behind, smiling at Neji as tears streamed down his face. What are you crying for? Naruto laughed, intertwining his fingers with Hinata's. You're a free bird now, Neji. Smile. Neji got back up and wiped the tears from his eyes. He bowed towards the head of the Hyuga clan, thanking her from the bottom of his heart. Thank you, Hinata-sama, Neji said as sincerely and warmly as he could. He gave the new clan head a warm smile. Thank you so much. Naruto smiled in remembrance of the day Hinata changed the Hyuga clan for the better. It had been a few weeks before their final battle had taken place. He had never seen Niji so happy. Looks like I'm gonna have to find some way to get on Niji's good side again. Naruto sighed. Not only that, he needed to find ways to bond with all his old friends. He would need to gain their trust again if he really wanted to change things for the better this time. I'm home. Welcome home, Naruto-sama. Naruto smiled at being greeted. Uzura was sitting on a chair in the kitchen, sharpening her sword. He walked in and grabbed a cup of instant ramen from the pantry. How was your day? Uzura asked. Great. Naruto smiled, thinking back to his time with Hinata. How was yours? Good. I looked around your village some more. It is very beautiful. Uzura smiled as she put down her sharpening stone and sheathed her kodachi. It's a good place to live, but I wouldn't call the village beautiful. Naruto chuckled as he heated up his meal in the microwave. The area I visited was beautiful. There was a gorgeous flower garden in front of this one house. I stopped by to admire them. You like flowers? Naruto inquired. I do. Uzura smiled. Gardening has been a hobby of mine ever since I was small. When I had free time, I'd always play in the garden and water plants at the old house I stayed at. Ah, yes. I had served other families in my past life. Did I mention that before? Uzura wondered, tapping her chin with her index finger. What was it like? Naruto asked curiously. Uzura didn't answer immediately. For a moment, Naruto could have sworn he saw a fleeting look of sadness and hurt cross her features. I like Naruto-sama more than my old masters. Uzura smiled. Naruto grinned back. I'm happy to hear you say that. Well, you should probably get some sleep after you're finished eating. Uzura said, getting up from her seat. I am very tired myself, so I think I'll turn in early. Good night, Naruto-sama. Sweet dreams. Naruto smiled as he watched her leave the kitchen. Part of him wanted to ask more about her old life, but a voice in the back of his head told him that it was better to abandon his curiosity. At least for now, anyway. Wake up, Naruto-sama. Uzura stared down at her master as he moved underneath the sheets of his bed. All she got in response was a tired groan. 5 more minutes. Naruto mumbled, still half asleep. He slowly reached over and pulled his other pillow over his head. Uzura giggled at his drowsy state. Naruto-sama, someone is here to see you. It would not be polite to keep them waiting. Gurg, smurfum. Zzzzzzz. The fox girl sighed when the boy turned over and proceeded to fall back asleep. Her eyes narrowed as she slowly reached down and grabbed hold of the underside of the mattress. Forgive me, Naruto-sama. She promptly flipped the mattress over, effectively waking the boy up. What the hell? Naruto shouted as he was thrown off the bed. He landed unceremoniously in the corner of the room. Ah, good morning. Uzura beamed at him, bowing her head towards him in greeting. What was that for? Naruto demanded as he picked himself off the floor. He grumbled at the clock next to his bedside that flashed the time, 7:30, back at him. What had possessed her to wake him up so early? A guest is here to see you. Uzura repeated, still smiling as she made her way to the kitchen. You should give him a proper greeting. Ha! But who would visit me so early in the morning? Naruto grumbled, rubbing his eyes in an attempt to chase away his lingering drowsiness. Upon entering the kitchen, he was mildly surprised to see a ninja with white hair sitting at the table. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said curiously. The copy nin gave him a quick wave of acknowledgement, his nose buried in the latest issue of Ika Ika. What are you doing here? We had things to talk about today, yes? The Jonin replied cheerfully, finally turning to face his student. You said we'd meet up, so here I am. Yeah, at noon. Naruto groaned. Why are you here so early in the morning? Kakashi-san mentioned to me that he wanted to take you somewhere. Uzura answered for him. There is some place he wants to show you. And where would that be? Naruto asked as he sat down at the table. We can talk about that later. Kakashi replied, smiling under his mask. We'll eat and then we'll head over to the place. Not going to tell me what or where it is. And ruin the surprise? Whatever. Naruto sighed, shaking his head. Despite his tired state and annoyance by his sensei's secrecy, it almost felt nice to have Kakashi mess with his head again. 2 bowls of ramen were presented to the both of them. The 2 ninja thanked Uzura for the meal and proceeded to dig into their meals. It was only after the first few bites that Naruto noticed Uzura wasn't eating with them. "Aren't you going to eat anything?" Naruto asked as the girl stepped towards the door. "I would join you if I could, but I had planned to do some shopping this morning and I'd like to get that done as soon as possible." Uzura smiled back at him. "I wanted to get some more ingredients so Naruto-sama would have more to eat than just ramen." "You don't need to do that. I can survive on ramen just fine." Naruto grinned. "You need variety in your diet. Too much of one thing is bad for the body." Uzura argued. "How are you even going to go out when you've got those sticking out of your head?" Naruto asked, pointing to her fox ears. "I've found a way around that." The girl smiled back, taking a red bandana out of her kimono sleeve. She tied it around her head and over her ears, completely covering them up and hiding them from sight. "I can't very well buy food in my fox form. It could fall off, and others might see." Naruto protested, getting up from his seat. "If you have a list of food, I can go out and get it later, so I am your servant. I do the shopping." Uzura interrupted as she quickly stepped out the door. "I will leave you 2 alone. I'm sure you have much to talk about." "Wait, I can dash." His response was the sound of his door shutting. "Hope she'll be okay." Naruto sighed, sitting back down. He couldn't even begin to imagine how the villagers would react if they saw her fox ears. "Quite a nice little helper you've got there," Kakashi said, breaking Naruto out of his thoughts. The boy was shocked to find that Kakashi had already finished his meal. The copy chuckled. "She acts like she's your wife. I'm happy to have Uzura around, but our relationship isn't like that." Naruto replied, his cheeks turning a little pink. "Don't let how she refers to me fool you. I don't treat her like a servant." "I know. You're not the kind of person who would treat someone like that," Kakashi said reassuringly. He leaned back in his seat. "So, what's her story?" "I haven't asked," Naruto said in between bites of his meal. "From the impression I got, it's not something that she'd be comfortable talking about. Some things are just better to be left off until later, you know?" "True." Kakashi nodded in agreement. "I'm curious about her though. I can see why her ability would be the reason she was sent back with you, but I wonder what makes her so willing to help you." "I'm a likable guy, aren't I?" Naruto grinned, earning a small chuckle from Kakashi. He folded his hands and muttered a thank you as he finished his meal. "But she said that she wanted to repay my parents for giving her new life by serving their son. I want to get to know her better, but I don't know a whole lot about her right now." "Well, you've got plenty of time to find out." Kakashi smiled as he got up from his chair. "Ready to go?" "Yeah." Naruto nodded, also getting up. "Can you please tell me where we're going now?" "You'll see, Naruto." Kakashi chuckled. "You'll see." It didn't take long to get to their destination. Naruto was surprised when Kakashi ended up taking him to Konoha's cemetery. As far as he knew, no one had died yet. When Naruto had asked, Kakashi had ignored him. The copying had silently walked into the graveyard, leaving Naruto with no choice but to follow him. Only after his teacher stopped in front of a certain grave and after Naruto had read the names inscribed on the tombstone did he realize why Kakashi had brought him here. Kakashi stepped back as Naruto slowly approached the grave. The boy knelt down and sat on the ground, crossing his legs underneath him. A warm smile made its way onto the youth's face. "Hey mom, hey dad." In front of him was the grave of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. It was kept away from the other graves in a hidden area near the corner of the graveyard. Their tombstone was surrounded by white flowers growing up out of the ground. Naruto leaned forward and slowly ran his fingers over his parents' names. "Their bodies were buried together seeing as they died together protecting you," Kakashi said, watching as his student stared at the stone slab. "It seemed fitting for those two. I wonder why I never came here before." Naruto wondered aloud. "I mean, even after I learned they were my parents I never came near this place. Why didn't I ever think of visiting my parents' graves? After all we've gone through together, Why did I never tell you they were your parents in your past life? Kakashi posed a question, making Naruto turn to look at him. The Jonin sighed and looked up at the morning sky. Some things just slip our minds. I guess so. Naruto smiled back at him before turning towards the grave again. You know, even though they weren't around to raise me, they did more for me than most parents would do for their children. They brought you back from the dead. I don't think any parent has accomplished that before. Kakashi chuckled. He frowned at his student's back. Naruto, if they had the choice, they would have chosen to raise you the way a family was supposed to. I'm sure that they regretted not being able to be there for you when you were young. I know they had regrets when they died. Naruto sighed. He smiled lightly when he thought back to the times where his parents had appeared before him in his mind. Dad wished he could have seen me grow up and become a better ninja than he was. Mom wished she had gotten the chance to raise me properly and see my wife and grandkids. I died with regrets too. You were lucky to have parents like them. Naruto grinned when he felt a hand on his shoulder. The teacher and students stared down at the grave, remembering the couple that had done so much for them. They loved you. You know that, right? I never doubted that. Naruto grinned as he hopped to his feet. They were great parents. I'll make them proud by having things go right this time around. I won't have any regrets in this second lifetime. Neither will I. Kakashi affirmed. Naruto looked up at him. My regret was that I wasn't there for my sensei's child when he was younger. I plan to rectify that in this lifetime. He smiled down at Naruto. I'll be here to help you every step of the way. I never doubted that either. Naruto smiled. I trust you, Kakashi-sensei. I'm glad that sharing my memories with you was the right choice. Well, we should probably get going. Kakashi said, turning away and walking in the direction of the exit. Before going to your house, I left notes at Sasuke's and Sakura's homes to meet us at the training grounds at 10. Kakashi-sensei, it's only 8:30. Naruto pointed out, giving the man a teasing look. Don't tell me you actually plan to arrive early for once? Of course not. After we have our chat about the possible future, I have a few errands I need to run. I shouldn't arrive at the training grounds until at least 12. Kakashi's eye crinkled in a smile. I have a reputation to uphold, you know. Ha ha ha. They'll be so mad when you finally show up. Naruto laughed. It'll take a while for them to finally realize you never arrive on time to anything. That's too bad for them then. Kakashi chuckled. So, let's get going then. I know a good place where we can talk and have some food if you're hungry. Actually, let's meet up at Ichiraku's in an hour or so. Naruto said, his smile turning wistful. I kinda wanna hang around here for a little while longer, if that's okay. Alright then. Kakashi nodded, understanding Naruto's request. He smiled lightly under his mask. See you at Ichiraku's in an hour then. Don't be late. That's funny coming from you. Naruto laughed. Touché. Kakashi chuckled, giving the boy a quick wave in goodbye. See you later, bye. Naruto grinned, turning back towards the grave. He was sure, somewhere, his parents were watching over him. They had always been watching over him. Even if they were dead now, Naruto would fight his hardest to make sure that his new life wouldn't be wasted. I won't die. I'll change things, I promise. Naruto smiled, speaking to his parents in the afterlife. That way, maybe, none of them would have any more regrets. Dobe. Where were you? Sasuke demanded when he spotted Naruto walking down the trail. We've been waiting for 2 hours. Why didn't you show up sooner? Sakura shouted immediately after Sasuke. Naruto shrunk back when he saw her hand twitch. Sorry. I had to go do some shopping first. Naruto said defensively. I had to make multiple trips. Carrying 35 packets of instant ramen across the village and back to my house isn't easy. Oof. Just don't let it happen again. Sasuke scoffed. Waiting on our sensei is bad enough. Waiting on you makes it worse. Sorry for leaving you alone with this guy, Sakura. Naruto whispered loudly, making sure the Uchiha could hear him. Tell me the truth. Trying to make conversation with him was like talking to a brick, right? It would have been nice if he responded with something other than a grunt or a growl. Sakura giggled, surprising Naruto by her joking along with him. Hey! I'm standing right here. Sasuke said indignantly, giving his teammates a glare. Looks like the only way to get a reply out of him is to insult him. Naruto grinned, disregarding the boy. What a social butterfly! Was my company really that bad, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked innocently. Oof. Sasuke turned away from them, his cheeks turning a bit pink. Well, I'd prefer your company over the Dobes any day. Now see, I tease, you hurt. Naruto said mockingly, smiling when he noticed Sakura blush. Sasuke chuckled as he glanced around the area again. Now, where the hell is our sensei? Hello, Ga! Sasuke jumped when he heard Kakashi's voice behind him. The boy turned and glared at their team sensei while the ninja just stared back lazily. He raised a hand in greeting. Yo! Kakashi smiled. Your note said 10. Where were you for the past 2 hours? Well, I had to run a few errands, then I met up with a friend to chat about a few things. Kakashi replied, casting a quick glance over at Naruto. The blonde smiled in response. I actually wanted advice regarding how I should start training you all. Naruto thought back to the conversation they had only a half hour ago. After Naruto had left the cemetery and met up with Kakashi at Ichiraku's, they had left to go to a quiet parlor where they could talk. While Naruto and Kakashi had talked about Naruto's plans regarding the future, who else he had in mind for sharing memories with, his talk with Kyuubi, and his thoughts about how to get a hold of the other demon containers, the main topic of their conversation had been about their team. Both he and Kakashi agreed that their team needed to get strong fast. Not only that, they needed to drive the values of teamwork into their minds and bodies immediately. They were friends, they were a team, and now they just needed to cement their bonds. After our chat and reviewing your files, the academy kept on all of you. I've decided how I should go about training each of you. Kakashi said, crossing her arms in front of him. Let me start with your strengths and weaknesses. He pointed to Sasuke. Sasuke. Kakashi said, giving the boy a stern look. You are very talented for someone your age. You know a good amount of ninjutsu, your taijutsu is great, and your sharp eye and mind will help you defend yourself against genjutsu. It just comes naturally to me. Sasuke said, smirking at the praise he was receiving. His sensei shouldn't expect anything less from him. I am a Uchiha, after all. That's your flaw. Kakashi said, surprising Sasuke by his blunt statement. That arrogance and superior attitude will not be tolerated. This is a team, Sasuke. You have to see your teammates as equals, not as inferiors that get in your way. You need to learn to work with them if you want to become a ninja. I wasn't. I didn't mean. Sasuke trailed off. He glanced at his teammates. The both stared at him with blank looks on their faces. I don't think badly of you guys. We know. Naruto replied, twirling a pinky inside his ear idly. Sasuke was surprised his careless attitude, wondering why he wasn't offended. We're your friends. We're not gonna get mad at you just because you're proud of your skills. We already know you're strong, Sasuke-kun. We respect you for that. Sakura smiled reassuringly. Naruto and I trust you, and we hope that you trust us too. Still, sorry if I sounded like I was bragging for a minute there. Sasuke added, still feeling uncomfortable at his own words. Don't worry about it. Naruto grinned, waving him off. Like I said before, you're strong because of you, not because you're an Uchiha. Yeah. Sasuke smiled a bit, grateful for his teammates' kind words. Anyway, moving on to Sakura. Kakashi said, smiling at the exchange between his team. You're smart, that goes without saying. You have great chakra control, but you aren't all that strong physically. Sakura's fine the way she is, isn't she? Naruto spoke up. Just because she can't hit as hard as me or Sasuke doesn't mean she's a bad ninja. We wouldn't have passed the bell test hadn't it been for her plan. Sasuke asserted. You guys? Sakura smiled warmly, grateful that they were so quick to defend her. I didn't say she was a bad ninja just because she's not the best fighter. Don't put words in my mouth. Kakashi retorted, silencing the trio. All I'm saying is that that's what we need to work on. Don't worry, I know a trick that could give your physical strength a huge boost. If you perfect the technique, you could have the strength to level an entire building. The trio blinked at him, not sure if their teacher was telling the truth. Sakura looked down at her tiny hands, not believing that there was a technique out there that could give her that much power. And lastly, Naruto. Kakashi said, turning towards the boy. You've got huge chakra reserves, kid. More than a kid your age should have. That Kage Bunshin technique of yours will come in handy on missions, and your enthusiasm for learning is a plus. However, you don't have a lot of other techniques besides that one jutsu. Your taijutsu was okay, but your chakra control is lacking. Another problem is your somewhat careless attitude and reckless behavior. I'm glad you know teamwork, but I'm worried you might not be able to follow orders. Silence. Naruto looked at his teammates expectantly. What? Not going to defend me? Naruto said incredulously. Hey, he made a good point. Sasuke smirked. What's to argue against? You've gotten a little bit more mature. Sakura admitted while giggling. But you still act like a knucklehead at times. Some friends you guys are. Naruto pouted, crossing his arms as he gave each of them a mock glare. See if I ever defend you two again. Kakashi chuckled a bit at their antics. It was good to see them getting along so well this early. It would make training them much easier. Well then, let's get started. Kakashi said, cracking his knuckles and making his students jump. We have to fight against you? Sakura asked, voicing her surprise. We'll work on teamwork and improving your strength for now. This is just a quick match to test your strength and see where you need improvement. Kakashi said, raising his fists. Keep in mind, you won't be able to beat me individually. Let's see if you guys can find a way to defeat me together. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura quickly readied themselves. Determination flashed in their eyes. Let's go! All three of them chorused as they charged their sensei. Shikamaru stared up at the clouds as he lied down on the grass. The wind blew through his hair and he let out a sigh of contentment. He always felt so relaxed staring up at the fluffy white puffs in the sky. This quiet, serene moment was just what he needed to fall into a comfortable sleep. What do you think that cloud looks like? Shikamaru sighed. A cloud. I think it looks like a chicken leg. Another sigh. Shikamaru slowly turned his head to stare up at Chuji who sat on the grass beside him. The boy was staring up at the clouds with a dazed look on his face. He could hear his stomach growing from his position next to him. Just be quiet. I'm trying to get some sleep. That one looks like tenderloin. Chuji added, ignoring his friend's words. And that one looks like a frog. Chuji, please keep your stomach from talking for you. Shikamaru groaned. I wonder what a frog would taste like if it was fried. Chuji murmured. Shikamaru rolled his eyes. Their sensei had given their team the weekend off and told them their training would start next week, and while Shikamaru had agreed to that plan, he admitted that he was feeling a bit bored. It was hard finding things to occupy his time when he wasn't sleeping, and Chuji wasn't a good shogi opponent. Hey guys! Both Shikamaru and Chuji turned their heads to find Naruto waving at them. Chuji, being the friendly guy he was, waved back in greeting. Shikamaru just arched an eyebrow at the blonde. What are you doing here? Shikamaru asked. Does it matter? Naruto grinned. Not particularly. Shikamaru shrugged. If you really want a reason, I got done with training a while ago and since Sasuke and Sakura had things to do, I needed someone to hang out with. And now I found you guys. Truthfully, Naruto had been looking for the two of them after he had left the training grounds. His talk with Neji last night made him realize that he needed to take time to chat with all his friends again. Plus, Naruto did miss talking with all his old friends. What are you guys doing anyway? Looking at the clouds. Chuji answered for Shikamaru. He pointed up at the sky again. What do you think, Naruto? Doesn't that cloud look like a piece of steak to you? I think your hunger might be getting to you, Chuji. Naruto smiled as he glanced at the cud that looked nothing like what the fat boy had mentioned. Well, I am pretty hungry. Chuji admitted as he rubbed his stomach. How about we go out to eat then? Naruto offered. It'll be an early dinner. Sounds good to me. Choji nodded vigorously as he got up. Come on Shikamaru, let's get something to eat. How troublesome. Shikamaru muttered. He'd much rather stay and look at the clouds. I'll buy for you guys. Naruto grinned. Shikamaru sat up. Where are we eating at? Ino idly twirled her blonde locks as she let out a huge sigh of boredom. She glanced out the window, seeing that the sun was already setting. Watching the shop can be really boring sometimes. The girl moaned. Her parents ran a flower shop and since they usually had other errands to run, they usually left Ino in charge of the shop. She liked managing, but on slow days like this one, she often found herself bored sitting at the counter, waiting for a customer to show up. I would have more to do if it weren't for my good-for-nothing team. Ino sighed dejectedly, slamming her head down on the countertop. She had expected her sensei to teach her and the others all kinds of new tricks after passing their test the other day, but to her surprise and annoyance, he had given them the weekend off. While Shikamaru and Choji had no objections, lack of training meant that the other teams were going to get stronger than theirs. How am I supposed to impress Sasuke-kun if I can't train with my team? Ino groaned. Hello? A chipper, annoying voice resounded in her ears following the bell that rung whenever someone entered or exited the flower shop. Ino grimaced when she saw who her customer was. Hey, Naruto. Ino greeted in a deadpan voice. Her parents had always told her to make customers feel welcome, no matter who they were. What are you doing here? This is a flower shop, right? I came here to buy some flowers, obviously. Naruto grinned at her. You like flowers? Ino questioned in mild interest. She had always thought boys hated flowers because they weren't manly or something like that. I remember gardening a bit when I was younger. It gave me something to do. Naruto smiled as he examined a few vases. Do you have any flowers you'd recommend? What are you looking for? Well, I'd like a few seeds for flowers that grow quickly, and I'd like a small banquet if you have one. Naruto requested politely. All right. These ones are pretty easy to grow. Ino nodded, handing him a couple seed packets. She also gave a small bouquet with an assortment of purple, red and white flowers. And this bouquet is pretty cheap and makes a great gift. Who do you plan on giving it to? A good friend of mine. Naruto smiled in response. She's been helping me out a lot recently, so I thought that maybe I'd do something nice for her in return. Ha! That's very thoughtful of you. Ino smiled, complimenting him and giving him a couple of points for the gesture. I'm sure she'll like them. I hope so. Naruto grinned. She said she enjoyed gardening, so she might become a frequent customer. Whatever is good for business. Ino smiled. Naruto chuckled a bit. It was weird. Here she was, having a normal conversation with the most hyperactive, annoying ninja in her class, and for once Ino didn't feel like planting her fist into his skull. Hey, Ino? The girl blinked as a small, white flower was presented to her. Naruto grinned widely at her. He had taken it out of the banquet. A flower for the pretty flower shop girl. Ino grinned as she took the flower from him. Naruto might be annoying at times, but at least he knew how to flatter well. Don't think for a minute that this will get you a discount. Ino smirked. Naruto laughed in response. These are for you. Uzura blinked as she stared down at the bouquet of flowers in her hand. She watched as Naruto placed a few seed packets on the desk next to his bed. Why? The fox girl asked, tilting her head to the side curiously. You mentioned before that you liked gardening. I bought the seeds so that maybe you'd have something to do when I was out of the house. Naruto smiled at her. And the flowers? Uzura asked, staring down at the bouquet that had been given to her upon his arrival a few minutes ago. Naruto had arrived home a few moments ago. Uzura greeted him, as she usually did, but was surprised when he had given her a beautiful bouquet of flowers and told her he had bought some flower seeds for her to grow. She couldn't imagine what reason he would have for doing so. Thank you. Naruto replied, walking up to her. You've done a lot for me, Uzura. You take care of the house while I'm gone, you cook me breakfast, you got me a copy of the Forbidden Art Scroll, gave Kakashi his memories back, and other small things that I'm grateful for. It just seems like you've done so much for me and I've done nothing to repay you. I want to make sure you know that I appreciate all you're doing for me. I am undeserving of Naruto-sama's praise. Uzura murmured as she looked down at her feet. Thank you. Don't worry about it. Naruto grinned. There's a small flower patch outside where you can plant the seeds. I'll help you dig out the weeds tomorrow. Uzura watched her master intently. To think he was thoughtful enough to do this for her when she had only mentioned once offhand that she enjoyed gardening. She was already content with what she had, but Naruto was doing so much for her. He said it was to repay her for all she had helped him with before, but still. Is there anything Naruto-sama wants in return? Uzura asked timidly. Is there anything I can do to repay you for this kind gesture? Uzura asked curiously. I told you, it's fine. Naruto sighed, shaking his head. This girl just didn't know how to accept a gift and leave it alone. It just feels like you do so much for me, well, more than a master should for his servant, and Uzura trailed off, not knowing how to continue. Uzura, you're my friend. Naruto said, shaking her shoulders a bit. I did this because I care about you. Can't we just leave it at that? The Inari Kitsune stared into her master's eyes. He was so different from the others she had met in her past life. He was so kind, even if you say that. Uzura started. Naruto held his hand up to stop her from speaking. Fine, you want to repay me? Then you've gotta help me train. Naruto said as his eyes narrowed. I already talked about it with Kakashi. In a few months, we'll be going to Wave to protect Tazuna from Zabuza and Haku. Uzura nodded, searching through the memories she had gained from Naruto. But what do they have to with anything? I think I found a way to get in contact with Utakata and find the three-tailed demon beast. Naruto smiled. To do that, I'll need to go to Kirigakure and get some information regarding their locations. Of course, I'll need a good reason to visit the village. What do you intend to do? This time around, we plan to capture Zabuza. Naruto grinned. And you're gonna help me train and get strong enough to do so. Will you help me? You didn't even need to ask. Uzura smiled. Chapter 8, Mission in Wave. Do you see the target? Naruto took a quick look around. He held his headset as he spoke into the speaker. Not yet. No sign of the target. Naruto replied. So, it's not in the north part of the forest. Kakashi murmured to himself, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. He adjusted his headset as he spoke through the mic. How about you, Sakura? Nothing in the south. I've searched everywhere but there's no sign of it. Came the annoyed reply. I found it. Sasuke's voice crackled in their ears. It's in the west part of the forest. Good job. Kakashi nodded in approval. Naruto, Sakura, head over there and give Sasuke some backup. Already on it. The two said in unison. They arrived at Sasuke's position in less than 2 minutes. The boy gestured behind him with his thumb. It's over there. The boy said quietly. I'm glad you found it so quickly. Naruto grinned. Having the Sharingan helps. Sasuke smiled back, his red eyes having 2 black tear shapes around the iris. Naruto just smiled in response. The demon container and Kakashi had discussed it, and they both decided that it was best if Sasuke got his Sharingan early on to help increase his strength. The boy had unlocked his Sharingan ability during a hard training session with Kakashi a few months back. While the eye technique wasn't complete, it still gave the boy great eyesight. On my signal. Sasuke whispered. Naruto and Sakura readied themselves. 1, 2. Now. 3 Narutos jumped out from the brush and tried to grab the small black creature that was their target. It hissed and jumped out of Naruto's reach, making the trio collide with themselves and poofing the clones out of existence. Sasuke jumped out and tried to block the creature, but just as he was about to grab at their target it twisted out of his grasp. It's a shame these eyes don't make me any faster. Sasuke muttered under his breath as he made another grab for the target. Don't let it get away. Naruto shouted as it jumped out of Sasuke's reach. I'm not spending another 2 hours looking for this damn thing again. Sakura, stop it. Sasuke yelled as the target made a break for the bushes. Hold it. Sakura yelled, slamming her fist down on the ground, making the ground explode beneath her. The target cried out and fell over as rocks and dirt flew over its head. Nice! Naruto grinned as he and Sasuke walked over to their teammate. You stopped it. I wonder if you killed it though. Sasuke wondered as he watched their target undergo some kind of spasm on the ground. I just surprised him is all. Sakura said, rubbing her fist. A small crater was left where she had punched. While Kakashi wasn't the expert Tsunade was when it came to teaching others how to build up and release their chakra in one burst. With Naruto's help he had managed to give Sakura a general idea about how it was done. Being the smart girl she was, Sakura was able to pick up on the technique pretty quickly. While the technique wasn't perfected and nowhere even close to the strength she had in the past, her fist still packed a punch. Granted, she couldn't keep from hurting herself a bit from the impact just yet. You know, I used to like cats before. Sakura said as she looked at the scratches on her knuckles. Now I can't say that I'm as fond of them as I was before. Naruto grumbled in response as he looked down at their client's cat, their target for capture. Doing this mission in his past life wasn't fun then, and it wasn't fun now. This would be his teammate's 6th time capturing the cat, but it would be his 12th. Stupid cat. Naruto muttered, glad their mission was over. Kakashi-sensei, we've captured the target. Sasuke reported to their teacher. We'll meet you at the Hokage's tower to collect our pay in 10. All right. Kakashi smiled. Good work team. See you in a bit. It had been about 2 months since Team 7 had taken the bell test and 2 months since Naruto and Kakashi began working together to use their memories of the past to help change the future. Of course, they hadn't talked about it as extensively as they had imagined they would. Both had agreed that, for now anyway, they'd focus on strengthening their team. Other than teaching Sakura a bit of Tsunade's lessons and helping Sasuke unlock his Sharingan, the team had improved quite a bit in Naruto's opinion. Not only did they get stronger, but their team got closer too. Sasuke was more open and smiled more often, and Sakura didn't hit him as much as she used to. Naruto was happy that he and his friends had already formed such a strong bond with each other so early on. Knowing that he could already trust his friends with his life, and knowing that they thought the same was something that he never expected to obtain so early, Naruto guessed that he had his maturity gained in his old life to thank for that. He was glad none of the choices he had made so far negatively affected him. Of course, the changes he had made weren't big changes in his opinion. Just recently, Naruto and Kakashi had discussed an event that would be their first big turning point. Their first hurdle. Their first attempt to truly change things. They would be assigned their mission in Wave today if things played out like they had before in the past. Naruto knew this would be a challenge. His goal was to capture Zabuza to further his plans for changing the future. Kakashi had wondered what Naruto hoped to gain by capturing the dangerous ex-Miss Ninja. The blonde had told him it was his only plan so far to get in touch with certain people. Zabuza would be his ticket to meet up with Utakata and finding the three-tailed demon beast. For this plan to work, the first step was to make sure they got the mission in Wave. Naruto and Kakashi knew that shouldn't be too hard since their team performed much better than when they first started out in their past life. I'm tired of all these stupid D-rank missions, old man. Give us a C rank already. Not only that, but Naruto's old persistence and need to get their first C rank mission would also help. Sakura and Sasuke groaned in embarrassment at how Naruto was addressing the Hokage. Kakashi just stood behind them, smiling under his mask. Naruto, mind your manners. Iruka chided, sitting up from his chair. This is not how you should ask a favor from the Hokage. Stay out of this, Iruka-sensei. Naruto said, glaring at the man. He turned back towards the Hokage and crossed his arms. I'm tired of all the chores and errands we run in those stupid D-rank missions. We need something more challenging, right guys? Hey, don't pull us into your arguments. Sakura snapped at him, more than a little annoyed by her teammates' immature behavior towards the issue. Sasuke grunted in agreement. But although the two wouldn't say it out loud and disrespect the Hokage the way Naruto was, Sasuke and Sakura were also sick of all the low-ranked missions they were getting. Do you think you're ready for a C-rank mission, Naruto? Hiruzen asked, arching an eyebrow at the boy. Not just me, but my teammates too. Naruto grinned. We'll take down any mission you give us. Hiruzen Sarutobi thought it over for a bit. He had seen the reports, and Kakashi's team had done better than he had expected. The team got along well, all missions were completed in a short amount of time, and each mission had been wrapped up nicely and met the objectives given. But were they really ready for a C-rank mission? They had only graduated 2 months ago, and none of the other newly graduated teams had been given any C-rank mission yet either. I think my team can handle a C-rank mission, Kakashi put in, making the Hokage and Irika turn their heads towards him. They're all more than capable of handling themselves out there. Very well. Sarutobi smiled, nodding at their sensei's encouragement. Let's see what mission we have available for you. Naruto held his breath. There was always the chance they wouldn't get the mission they wanted. He needed the wave mission. How about this one? Sarutobi handed Naruto the mission papers. You'll be escorting a man named Tazuna to the border of Wave Country. Does that satisfy you, Naruto? More than you can imagine. Cool. Thanks, old man. Naruto smiled, turning on his heel and heading towards the door. Hold on, Naruto. You should meet your client first, don't you think? Sarutobi pointed out, a bit thrown off by Naruto's nonchalant attitude. He had expected him to be a bit more excited. Sir, could you please come in? These brats are the ones that are gonna escort me? Tazuna slurred as he walked through the door. You must be joking. Naruto grinned when he saw the man. Gray hair, lazy look, drunken with a bottle of sake in one hand, Tazuna looked exactly how Naruto remembered. So, you're a bridge builder? Naruto asked as he pretended to read the mission papers to learn about what he already knew. What are you doing in Konoha? Had to get supplies. Tazuna answered as he regarded the team assigned to him with a lazy eye. Couldn't I have gotten someone stronger? Hey, don't underestimate us. Naruto smirked. We just might end up saving your life on this mission. Tazuna blinked. It could just be his drunken mind influencing him, but the lad sounded like he knew something. Yeah right. Tazuna chuckled, shaking his head. As if a shorty like you could protect me. He turned towards the man with the mask whom he assumed was their sensei. So when can we leave? How about tomorrow morning? Kakashi offered, smiling at the old man he could now remember. My team has already gone on a mission today, so we need time to rest. It'll be our first mission outside the village. What was the mission? Tazuna asked curiously. We had to find someone's cat. Sasuke answered bluntly, his tone sounding as unimpressive as the mission. Most dangerous mission we've had so far. Tazuna sighed to himself. Hopefully they won't run into too much trouble. So, you guys got a C-rank mission? That's right. Naruto smiled as he blocked Kiba's punch. It'll be nice to see get out of village for once. You're lucky, dude. Kiba laughed as he ducked to avoid Naruto's kick. Maybe we should try asking for a C-rank mission. All we've done is errands for people. As a prank, my sister Hana gave our team a mission to clean out the cages at my house. At least she finally found a way to make you do your chores. Naruto grinned as he threw a few punches at the dog ninja. Kiba laughed as he blocked the punches. Naruto glanced towards their spectators, who stood off to the side watching the two boys spar. What was that like, Hinata? Unpleasant. Hinata sighed. She gave Kiba a mock glare. We would have had less work to do if Kiba-kun would do his chores once in a while. You need to think of your teammates. Shino added, not lifting his head, which was buried in another book on bugs. Akamaru sat next to him, watching the battle with mild interest. Sorry to say, but that's not gonna happen. Kiba laughed in response. The boy turned his attention back to Blonde he was sparring against. About a month ago, Hinata had introduced him and Shino to the boy. Kiba had recognized Naruto from the academy, the failure who he thought hadn't graduated. He also had the reputation for being an annoying prankster, but shortly after meeting him, Kiba found a great friend in Naruto. The boys actually shared a few interests, and their similar attitudes also helped them become better friends. What Kiba was grateful for was Naruto's help in bringing his team closer together. After Kiba had met his teammates, they had trouble communicating with each other. While the dog ninja tried to find out more about his teammates, Hinata was too shy and most of her responses had been stutters, and Shino just didn't respond to anything. After Naruto showed up, everything had been more comfortable between them. While she was still shy, Hinata lost her stutter and by some miracle Naruto got Shino to start talking. Team 8 and 7 were actually on pretty good terms with each other. Shortly after Naruto had started hanging out with Team 8, the blonde had suggested their teams get together for training every once in a while. Kakashi and Kurenai had jumped on the idea. Their teams would compete against each other in friendly competitions where each team tried to outdo the other. These exercises helped in bringing the teams closer together, gave Hinata more confidence, and made Shino speak. It was a good relationship. Hold up, Kiba. Naruto paused, catching the boy's fist. He turned his head towards Shino. What time is it? 4 o'clock. Why? Shino asked. Oh. Naruto-kun, we should probably get going. Hinata said as she got up. She brushed the dirt off her pants. Yeah. Sorry, Kiba. We'll continue this match later, yeah? Naruto said as he bumped fists with his friend. Where are you guys going? Kiba asked curiously. A sly smirk slowly made its way onto his face. Could it be, is Naruto taking you on a date, Hinata? And no. It's just TT that I offered to go pick up some food for my family and Naruto said he'd come with me to help, is all. Hinata replied as she blushed at Kiba's insinuation, breaking into a fit of stuttering. Calm down, I was only kidding. Kiba chuckled. The only time she stuttered or blushed now was when someone joked about her and Naruto's close relationship. He turned towards the blonde. Sucks for you, huh? I like spending time with Hinata. Naruto grinned at him. He smiled at Hinata. But maybe we should go on a date sometime. What do you think? Mao, don't joke like that, Naruto-kun. Hinata blushed, shuffling her feet and squirming cutely at the boy's suggestion. I wasn't even joking. Naruto muttered so that only he could hear. He waved at Kiba and Shino as he and Hinata moved to leave. See you guys when I get back. Yeah, good luck on your mission. Kiba called back at him as his friends left. Akamaru barked his goodbyes while Shino just acknowledged the departing duo with a short nod of his head. Hey, Uzura. Ah, Naruto-sama. Welcome home. Naruto smiled at the girl who bowed in greeting. He took note of the water can in her hand as he observed her work with a smile on his face. Those flowers grow fast. Naruto said as he stared at the myriad of colors in the flower patch in front of his apartment. They look beautiful. Thank you. Uzura smiled as she bent down to cover up some newly planted seeds with some soil. She sprinkled some water over them as soon as they were covered. After Naruto had bought her some seeds from Ino's shop, every time he woke up and came home he'd see the fox girl gardening. She really enjoyed the hobby as she said, and took pride and care in her work. The various colors that surrounded the front of his apartment really made it seem like a better place to come home to. Naruto had helped Uzura extend the length of the flower patch to give her a bigger area to garden. Uzura actually knew Ino now that she actually made herself a frequent customer at her shop to buy seeds. Of course, Ino didn't know about Uzura's relationship with Naruto, or that they lived together. She didn't know what Uzura was since the bandana she wore around her head in public always kept her ears hidden and out of view. Uzura was actually good friends with the girl now. Naruto smiled as he bent down next to Uzura and smelled the flowers that bloomed in front of him. He was glad that doing this for Uzura had turned out to be such a great idea. How was your day? Uzura asked as she and Naruto got up from their squatting positions. We got the mission in wave today. Naruto said as he walked up the steps to their apartment and to his room. Uzura followed close behind him. So then this will be your first challenge then. Uzura said softly as she followed him into their room. Capturing Zabuza will be no easy task. You're telling me. Naruto sighed as he ran his fingers through his hair. I barely managed to fend him off last time. If we hadn't freed Kakashi-sensei from the water prison, we probably would have died right there. But you're stronger this time. Your friends trust you, and Kakashi-san is there to help you. Uzura smiled at him reassuringly. You'll be fine, I'm sure. I'm still worried, but hearing you say that makes me feel better. Naruto smiled at her as he pulled out a drawer on his dresser and took out a large scroll. Not only that, but I'll have you here to watch my back. That gives me even more confidence. Hearing Naruto-sama say that makes me happy. Uzura smiled softly as her cheeks turned a little pink. Knowing that I can assist you makes me happy as well. Yeah, well, it's no joke that you've been a great help in preparing me for this. Those training sessions with my team, Hinata's team, and you have made me stronger, I think. Naruto smiled as he unfolded his copy of the Forbidden Arts Scroll. Plus, studying this thing would have been a lot harder by myself. Naruto and Uzura smiled at each other as they sat down with the scroll unfolded in front of them. They skipped to the part of the scroll that included seals of all kinds. They both immediately got to work studying. Other than training, Naruto spent a lot of time going over the Forbidden Arts Scroll with Uzura. The Kitsun girl had mentioned before that maybe he'd have some luck studying seals. His father had been an expert in the art of sealing, and while Naruto was nowhere even close to a fourth of his father's skill, he could already perform quite a few low-level sealing techniques, such as locking doors and locking items in place. They were small accomplishments, but studying these techniques would help him in mastering more advanced techniques. Uzura pulled out a small scroll from her kimono sleeve and unraveled it. She carefully wrote a few symbols on it and showed them to Naruto. The boy glanced at the seal she had been studying and nodded in thanks. He took the scroll and added a few more symbols to it. He'd be taking the Forbidden Arts Scroll with him on the mission. Uzura would also be going with him on the mission for backup to help him. The seal nowhere near completion, you know that, right? Uzura asked him as she rolled up the Forbidden Arts Scroll. Maybe not, but I'm sure we can write down some more during the mission. Naruto replied as he rolled up the smaller scroll. Besides, I'm sure when we find out information regarding the three-tailed demon beast we'll find people who are capable of helping us seal it. The smaller scroll in his hand had a modified version of his seal for the Kyuubi written on it. Naruto was sure that when he got into Kirigakure, he'd find someone who'd help him complete it. Morning, guys. Naruto waved as he approached his teammates. Both glared at him for his lateness. Naruto, why are you so dash? Kakashi-sensei wasn't gonna be on time, so what's the point of coming early? You know he arrives at least 2 hours late to everything. Naruto cut Sakura off before she could finish. The pink-haired girl huffed and crossed her arms, knowing that she couldn't argue Naruto's point. A few minutes later Kakashi did show up with Tazuna in tow. He waved at his students whilst smiling underneath his mask. Morning, students. Kakashi greeted as he stepped in front of them. I hope I didn't make you wait too long. Naruto chuckled while Sakura and Sasuke grumbled in response. Yeah. Good morning, how are you and all that? Tazuna said loudly as he stepped past them. They could already tell he was drunk. I want to get back to my country as soon as possible. I've got things to do, places to be and bridge to build. Just don't let anything happen to me. You have my word that nothing will happen to you. Kakashi assured. He smirked under his mask. I mean, this is just a C-rank mission. It's not like anyone's out to kill you or anything, right? Yeah. Tazuna mumbled quietly. They all exited the village. Naruto stepped next to Kakashi. That was mean. Naruto whispered. Kakashi shrugged innocently. Is your friend planning on coming with us? Kakashi asked his student as he glanced at the woods. Naruto turned to see where Kakashi was looking. He saw a small white fox look at him before it hopped into the bushes. The blonde nodded at his teacher. She'll stay hidden, but you never know what might happen. Naruto replied. Kakashi nodded, understanding that they might need the help. What are you two doing? Let's go. Sakura's voice called back at them. Coming. Naruto called back as he ran to catch up with his teammates and their client. Kakashi followed behind them at his own pace. The party strolled down the trail for a couple hours, making idle chit-chat with each other. Since he was bored during their walk, Naruto started his innocent act and commented how it was his first time leaving the village, something his teammates also commented on. It felt weird lying about things he had already done before, but not in this life. Eventually, Naruto and Kakashi saw it. The puddle. The Jonin made a few hand signs while Naruto gently nudged Sasuke and Sakura. They had improved to the point where they too could notice common things that were out of place. Team 7 stiffened when they felt killing intent coming from behind them. They all turned to see two mist ninja with gas masks on their faces with claws and chains attached to their hands coming up from behind their sensei. They whipped the chains forwards and they wrapped tightly around the copy nin. Kakashi had a look of complete surprise on his face. Do it! One of the ninjas shouted as they both pulled on the chains. Tazuna cried out in fear when he saw the potentially strongest of the group he'd hired get torn to shreds. Get the bridge builder! The other ninja shouted. They rushed towards Tazuna with their claws aimed at him. Tazuna lifted his arms to cover his face in a futile attempt to block the attack. He waited for the claws to tear into his skin and rip him apart. Surprisingly, they never came. Nice one, Sasuke. The bridge builder uncovered his head when he heard Naruto's laughing voice. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw 3 Narutos and Sakura around him and a kunai pinning the chains to a tree on the opposite side of the trail. Sasuke had been the one who'd thrown it. With his Sharingan activated, Sasuke jumped on upwards and delivered a swift kick to one of the assailants' neck. The remaining ninja watched his brother fall to the ground. He immediately detached the chain and rushed towards Tazuna, thinking he wouldn't have any trouble taking care of a girl and a few clones. To his surprise, 3 more clones burst out from the ground and grabbed a hold of his arms and legs, keeping him in place. One of the Narutos called out to their teammate. He's all yours, Sakura. The girl ran up to them and brought her arm backwards, only to bring it forward again and slam it into the mist ninja's jaw with some chakra force added to her attack. An audible crack was heard as she broke the ninja's jaw and sent him flying into a tree, where he sunk to the base of it upon impact. We did it! Naruto laughed as he whooped excitedly. Why yeah! Sakura smiled, even as she shakily fell to the ground. Now that the moment of battle had passed, it gave her time to reflect on what had just happened. They had been attacked by another ninja for the first time. But why would these ninja attack us? Sasuke wondered as he kicked one of their bodies. Foreign ninja wouldn't attack us without reason. Tazuna just stared at the kids who had just taken out 2 people sent to kill him. But that wasn't why he was so surprised. They had just seen their teacher get ripped to pieces in front of them. Why were they acting so calm? I believe our client can answer that question. Tazuna jumped and turned around to see Kakashi standing behind him with an expectant look on his face. The bridge builder pointed at him in shock. But you were. Substitution technique. Sasuke answered for him. Kakashi-sensei wouldn't be killed so easily by those 2. Now back to the matter at hand. Kakashi said, stepping towards Tazuna. I believe you have something to tell us, don't you? Ah, fine. Tazuna sighed. I'll tell you everything. You know that bridge I said I was building? Someone wants to stop me from completing it. Naruto sat down and leaned back against a tree to rest. He already knew everything, so there was no point in listening. Tazuna explained things the way he remembered them. Gato wanted to keep control in waves, so he needed to hire some ninja to take care of the man building the bridge. Once the bridge was completed, their country would be connected to the mainland, allowing them to buy product from people other than Gato. Tazuna couldn't afford to pay for an A-rank mission because Gato had already extorted too much money from him and the rest of the villagers. C-rank missions are generally for protection against highway trouble like bandits and wild animals. Attacks from enemy ninja just made this mission a whole lot more dangerous. Kakashi said, crossing his arms in front of him. I know I was wrong to keep it a secret from you, but please, you have to protect me. Tazuna begged them desperately. Please, for the sake of my country, my daughter, and my grandson, I have to complete that bridge. I don't know. Deceiving us is one thing, but this mission could put our lives at risk too. Kakashi said, giving the man a serious look. He turned towards his students. What do you want to do, eh? Isn't it your decision, sensei? Sakura asked. We decide things as a team. I go with whatever you 3 choose. Kakashi replied. Well then, the answer is obvious. Naruto smiled as he sat up. He gave Tazuna a salute. We'll be your protection from here on out. Naruto. You still want to do the mission? Sakura asked him incredulously. Ninja attacked us. There will probably be more, and they'll probably stronger. We could die. I can't become the Hokage if I'm not afraid to put my life on the line for others. Naruto replied fiercely, slamming his fist into his palm. I won't die before I fulfill my dream. I won't die. Not this time. I'm with you. Sasuke asserted as he stepped forward. He nodded towards Tazuna. We make sure no one touches you. Sasuke, you too? Sakura gasped. So, this mission got harder, so what? No matter what mission we do, there will always be the possibility of us dying. Sasuke said, turning towards her. Just because the stakes are higher doesn't mean we should run away. And Uchiha, no. I, Sasuke Uchiha, never run away. Naruto smiled at his friend's vigor and by his declaration that it was his choice to do this. Sasuke wasn't doing it for his Uchiha pride, but because he wanted to do it for himself. I don't know. Sakura said nervously. Despite their victory over the first two ninja, she had been scared throughout the entire fight. She had gotten stronger, she was sure of that, but what would happen if they ran into someone stronger? Sakura, you shouldn't be scared. Sasuke said, snapping the girl out of her thoughts. Naruto and I are your teammates. We'll make sure that you won't die. Yeah. We can protect Tazuna, and you too. Naruto added, smiling at her. Thanks guys. Sakura smiled at them, happy that she had such great teammates. She turned towards Tazuna. We'll protect you, Tazuna-san. We'll help make sure that bridge is completed. Well then, there's you answer. Kakashi shrugged, smiling beneath his mask. Looks like we'll be together for a bit longer. Thank you. Just. Thank you. Tazuna gave them a deep bow. Let's get moving then. Naruto grinned. The sooner we get you to your village, the sooner you can complete that bridge. And the sooner we can capture Zabuza. Alright, this is as far as I can take you. The group stepped out of the small boat. Tazuna turned to thank the ferryman for taking them to the island. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. Tazuna said sincerely to the man. You want to thank me? Just make sure you finish building that bridge. The man replied. He leaned closer to Tazuna and spoke in a whisper as he glanced at the children the bridge builder had brought with him. But are you sure you should be bringing children into this? Don't underestimate them. They're more than capable of the task. Tazuna replied seriously. He glanced at Naruto after saying this. Believe it or not, they've actually saved my life already. If you say so. Good luck. The ferryman departed. Here we are. Tazuna said as he walked up to his protectors. I'd say it's good to be home, but. Naruto ignored him and took note of his surroundings. A fog covered the area, cloaking everything in a misty white blanket. The demon container shivered a bit when his nerves started to get to him. He had been scared when he fought against Zabuza the first time. Now that he knew the man was coming this time, he couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive. The boy stiffened when he felt a hand on his shoulder. Naruto looked up to see Kakashi standing behind him with an expression that told him he was smiling. The copy Nin gave the boy's shoulder a reassuring squeeze. Naruto smiled in thanks as they all proceeded forward and into the forest. Get ready everyone. We're nearing the end, so there will probably be someone here to stop us. Kakashi said gravely as he pulled up his headband to reveal his Sharingan eye. He had long since revealed it to his team, so its appearance came as no surprise to them. Sasuke also activated his Sharingan. After a few moments of walking, Kakashi and Sasuke both called out at the same time. Get down! Naruto tackled Tazuna to the ground as everyone else hit the floor. A massive, and to Naruto and Kakashi, familiar sword flew over where their heads had been a second ago. It connected with a tree on the opposite side of the forest and stuck there. A shirtless man covered in bandages landed on the sword's hilt and stood there. Naruto and the rest slowly got up from their positions and stood at ready. Tazuna and Sakura shook slightly as they stared at the man who had thrown the sword. Naruto, Kakashi, and Sasuke all glared at their attacker. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi said as he pulled out a kunai. The ex-Mist Nin smiled underneath his mask of bandages. Well. You're the infamous copy ninja, Kakashi Hatake. Zabuza let out a throaty chuckle as he jumped down to the ground and pulled his sword out of the tree. He swung it back and rested it on his shoulder. How can he swing that huge blade around so easily? Sakura whispered. A strong opponent has made his appearance. Sasuke said, his Sharingan flaring. I'm getting excited already. Naruto grinned, cracking his knuckles. With his teammates with him, he could already feel his confidence building up. Here we go. I won't lose this challenge. Sakura, protect Tazuna. Naruto, summon some clones to help her. Kakashi ordered. Sakura placed herself in front of Tazuna while four other Narutos helped form a pentagon around the bridge builder. Naruto and Sasuke, you cover me from a distance. I'll probably have to take care of him myself. Ha ha ha. I can tell that you'll be a challenge, Kakashi. Zabuza laughed darkly. The mist around them thickened as the Xmas Nin disappeared inside the whiteness. Let's make this a fight we can enjoy. Everyone stood in silence for a while. Naruto and Kakashi were familiar with Zabuza's techniques, but Sakura and Sasuke were still unaware. They both hoped that things would still end with all of them coming out of this alive. Naruto and Sasuke's eyes widened when they saw someone materialize behind Kakashi. They were about to call out to him, but Kakashi, with his Sharingan, had already seen him coming. The copy ninja swung his fist backwards and nailed Zabuza right in the jaw. Not to his surprise, the man dissolved into water and splashed to the ground. Water clones. Kakashi muttered as he shook his hand to get the water off. His eye picked up on something to the left. Kakashi jumped upwards when a sword swept underneath him. The Jonin shot his foot backwards and caught another clone in the neck. It exploded into water. Naruto and Sasuke jumped back when a sword slammed down where they had been standing a moment before. The duo took out some shuriken from their pouches and threw them at the clone that had attacked them, hitting it in the shoulder blades and dispelling it. Where's the real one? Naruto shouted. Sasuke searched around frantically with his Sharingan. His eyes widened when he saw someone material in next to Sakura. Sakura! Sasuke yelled to her. The girl's eyes widened when she saw the Rouge Nin beside her. Zabuza smirked sinisterly under his mask as he raised his sword above his head. Easy kill. The man thought as he smiled to himself. Protect the VIP. The Xmas Nin's eyes widened when he felt a group of bodies surround him and lash onto his limbs. He looked down to see some blonde kids grabbing onto his arms and legs, trying to keep me in place. Shadow clones? Impressive, but it won't make a difference to me. Just as he was about to do a massive sweep and throw the clones off, Zabuza felt a fist connect with his stomach. His eyes widened when he felt the force of the blow register with his body. Take this! Sakura screamed as she delivered the hardest punch she could. It was enough. It sent Zabuza flying backwards as he felt the clones let go of him. He rolled across the ground before coming to a halt. The man coughed as he patted his stomach. How the hell does that scrawny girl have such a mean punch? Zabuza muttered to himself in wonder. Don't forget about me. Zabuza's eyes widened as a foot connected with the side of his face. Blood from his mouth soaked the bandages covering his mouth as Kakashi's kick sent him a few more feet backwards. Zabuza quickly picked himself up and held his sword in front of him. Damn it, these guys aren't pushovers. Zabuza growled. He quickly turned on his heel and ran in the direction opposite of where his opponents were standing. He's retreating? Tazuna said in disbelief. No. Don't let him get to the water. Kakashi yelled when he realized Zabuza was headed towards the lake. Dobe, get me over there. Sasuke commanded as he watched Zabuza run towards the water. Naruto nodded and formed a familiar hand sign. Two clones poofed into existence and grabbed a hold of Sasuke's arm. They ran forward a bit, pumped chakra into their arms, and threw Sasuke forward, who shot like a rocket towards Zabuza. The man felt someone coming at him from behind. He turned and was shocked when a fist collided with the side of his head. He glared at the black-haired boy who flipped over him and placed himself between Zabuza and the lake. Get out of my way, brat! Zabuza shouted as he brought his sword down on the boy's head with full force. Sasuke, with his Sharingan, predicted his move and quickly hopped to the side. He launched a kick at Zabuza's side, which the ninja blocked, but the Uchiha used his arm to hop off of and deliver a spinning kick to the man's head as he jumped upwards. Zabuza growled as he shook off the blow and swung his fist around to hit his attacker. Sasuke caught the fist and spun back around to hit Zabuza in the shoulder. He landed on the ground next to the Xmas Nin, who tried to kick the boy away, but he dodged the attack with ease. A vein popped out of his forehead. You're so annoying! Zabuza roared as he brought his fist forward. Sasuke's eyes widened when Zabuza's fist came at him with more speed than he originally thought. The man's fist slammed into the side of Sasuke's face, sending him flying into a tree where he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Sasuke-kun! Sakura shouted in alarm. Stay with Tazuna! Kakashi shouted back at her as he rushed towards Zabuza. He glanced to the side to see Naruto shoot past him. Zabuza, in a state of anger, slowly stepped towards Sasuke's unconscious body. He raised his sword, ready to kill the boy with his stroke. Leave him alone! Zabuza let out a surprised grunt when he felt someone tackle him from behind. He spun around and grabbed onto the blonde who had crashed into him. He took a few steps backwards as he tried to pry the boy off of him. Brat, get off me! The demon of the mist's eyes widened when he felt a dozen more bodies, all with the same appearance of the boy that was attached to him, tackle him together. Zabuza fell backwards as the clone's weight became too much. Unfortunately for both Zabuza and Naruto, they had been on a slope. When they fell backwards they tumbled downhill, clones dispelling and disappearing as they crashed down the slanted ground. I'm going after them! Kakashi yelled as Tazuna and Sakura rushed over to him and the unconscious Sasuke. The clones that had been with Tazuna and Sakura had joined the other clones in tackling Zabuza. Kakashi made a few hand signs and slammed his palm into the ground. Naruto held on tightly to his enemy as they crashed down the hill. He could hear his clones disappear and Zabuza's grunts of pain as they hit rocks and trees on their way down. The slope ended sharply and just as they rolled into a clearing, Zabuza threw Naruto off of him. Zabuza slowly got up, hearing his muscles crack as he tried to recover himself. The man growled to himself as he cracked the muscles in his neck. This is becoming more trouble than it's worth. Zabuza grumbled to himself. His head made a sharp turn when he felt a huge spike in chakra come from beside him. The assassin's eyes widened when he saw the blonde boy that had tackled him held a blue ball of chakra in his hand. A clone that had been shaping it poofed out of existence. Naruto held the ball of chakra in his hand. Let's see how you do against this attack, Zabuza. Naruto grinned. Letting out a fierce battle cry, the youth charged at the Jonin ninja. Zabuza scoffed and quickly picked up his sword that had landed beside him. He lifted his sword and aimed the flat side towards his attacker in order to block the attack. Naruto's Rasengan hit the blade dead in the center. Unfortunately, the ex-Mistnin hadn't expected the attack to be so powerful. The force of the attack was strong enough to blow away his sword and send him flying into a tree on the opposite side of the clearing. This kid, he's actually got a lot of power. Zabuza thought as he slowly picked himself up. But where does he get it from? Zabuza's eyes widened when he saw the boy prepping another one of those chakra balls with another clone. The man immediately launched himself towards the boy. Shit! Naruto cursed when he saw Zabuza charge him. He hadn't even bothered to go pick up his sword. His clone disappeared when the Rasengan was completed. However, Zabuza had already covered the distance to get to him and launched a hard forward kick that connected with Naruto's stomach. The chakra in his hand dissipated as he tumbled backwards across the ground. You've got a lot of power for a runt. I'm actually really curious as to where you get it from. Zabuza said as he approached the downed teen. He took a kunai out from his back pouch. Too bad you won't live long enough to tell me. Don't turn around. Zabuza's eyes widened when he felt some strike the pressure points in his neck. He collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Naruto coughed as Kakashi helped him up. The Kopinin glanced at Zabuza's unconscious form. That should keep him out long enough for us to tie him up and make sure he can't do anything more to harm us. Kakashi sighed. I can't believe we pulled that off. Waiting for a chance to knock him unconscious was painful. Naruto groaned as he held his stomach and caught his breath. I wonder how Sakura and Sasuke will react when we bring him with us. Where are they? With Tazuna. Sasuke's still unconscious. Kakashi answered. Let's just, Naruto turned when he heard Kakashi's alarmed shout. His eyes widened when he caught sight of another familiar person. Thank you for immobilizing this, man. Haku said to the duo as he bowed at them. I'll be taking him into custody now. To his surprise, Haku's reply was a hard fist to the front of his face. The boy's mask cracked and broke off as he flew across the ground. He quickly picked himself up and wiped the blood from his mouth. Haku stared wide-eyed at the blonde-haired boy who had punched him. We know you're associated with him. Naruto glared at him. Looks like we'll have to take care of you too. Haku didn't have time to question how they knew his identity. These men were dangerous and needed to be disposed of immediately. He made a few hand signs and initiated in signature technique. Crystal ice mirrors. Haku shouted as water rose up from the ground and froze to form familiar crystal mirrors. They all circled and rose up to surround Naruto and Kakashi, trapping them in a house of mirrors. Oh no! I forgot about these. Naruto said nervously as images of Haku appeared in the mirrors. He knew from his past life what a dangerous technique this was. Many ninja have fallen to this technique. You cannot escape. Haku said monotonously as his reflections took out some Senbon needles. Both of you will die here today. Haku, we don't need to fight. Kakashi said reasonably as he stepped forward, surprising both the fake hunter Nin and Naruto. We never intended to kill Zabuza, if that's what you're afraid of. We need him if we have any hope of getting into Kirigakure. Kirigakure. What made you think that telling me this would change your situation? Haku asked, visibly shaken by what the man had said. Did he know of Zabuza's past in the village? I'm giving you a chance to leave. We don't need two missing Nin to get into the village. Kakashi replied. We don't have to fight. Haku's eyes narrowed at the man. I would never abandon. He would never abandon Zabuza, Kakashi. Naruto said, surprising Haku when he interrupted him. The guy might be an asshole, but Zabuza's the person he'd give his life to protect. He won't leave without Zabuza. Naruto smiled at Haku's reflection. I'm right, aren't I? He's someone precious to you. How do you? Haku's reflection staggered back as if he'd been struck. These people, he didn't know how, but they knew more about himself and Zabuza more than they let on. You're right, I guess that was a stupid question. Kakashi shrugged. Guess we'll just have to knock him out. You think you can defeat my technique? Haku said as he regained his composure. No one has ever defeated my crystal ice mirrors before. What makes you so confident? Well, there's the fact that this kid did once before. Kakashi said, pointing down at Naruto and confusing the hell out of Haku. Kakashi made a few hand signs. And also, because he has me with him this time. Haku's eyes widened when he recognized the hand signs for the technique being formed. He quickly threw the Senbon needles at the duo. Unfortunately, Kakashi had already completed the technique. Hidden mist technique. Kakashi smirked as he and Naruto disappeared into a heavy fog. The Senbons flew into the misty white. Haku cursed when he heard them hit the ground and not his targets. Haku was nervous. The white-haired man must have copied his teacher's technique with his Sharingan. Haku's eyes darted around him as he tried to look out for his enemies. He had to stay calm. Even if they hid from him, there was no way they could break his mirrors. Chidori. Haku didn't think when he heard the attack's name. The sudden rise in chakra that he felt was enough to make him hop out of the mirror. Kakashi's hand, with lightning jumping out of it, slammed into the mirror Haku was just in. It cracked in a few places before falling to the ground and melting into water. Too close. Haku thought as he jumped towards the next mirror. He'd have to watch out for that man's attack and his eye. Naruto, to your left. Haku's eyes widened when he saw Naruto jumped out from the veil of fog with a spinning ball of chakra in his hand. It was the same technique he used against Zabuza. Haku pulled one of the mirrors in front of him in order to block the attack. It did little to stop the attack. Rasengan! Naruto shouted as he broke through the mirror and slammed into Haku. The fake hunter Nin was sent flying across the earth where he landed in a heap at the base of a tree, very much unconscious. The mirrors around them shattered and dissolved into water, soaking the ground beneath them. We did it. Hey, you didn't kill him, did you? Kakashi asked as he glanced over at Haku's inert form. No. His mirror did absorb a bit of the impact and I made sure not to add as much chakra as I usually do. Naruto replied. I probably broke some bones, but that's it. We should take him with us. Kakashi said as he walked over to the boy's body. It would be better to keep an eye on him for the time being. Yeah. You're probably right. Naruto smiled. He made a move to follow Kakashi. To his surprise and dread, he found that his feet had gotten a lot heavier. Naruto paled when he heard a deep laugh come from beside them. "I've got you now." "No!" Naruto's shout was literally drowned out when an orb of water closed in around him and trapped him in place. He whipped around inside his prison to see a Zabuza water clone had trapped him in a water prison. To add to his horror, he saw that another clone had caught Kakashi by surprise and trapped him in a water prison as well. Naruto turned to see the real Zabuza walk between the two prisons with a sinister smile on his face. "Who would have thought Haku's defeat would lead to my victory?" Zabuza smiled darkly as he shot both trapped ninja a smug look. "Even in defeat, the perfect tool is still useful to me," Naruto gasped. "The water from the mirrors. That's what he used to make the clones and the prisons." Naruto and Kakashi thrashed about inside their prisons, trying to break free. "Don't even bother struggling. Once trapped inside my water prison you can't get out." Zabuza smiled. "While I wouldn't mind watching you two drown in your confinements, I do have a bridge builder to kill. I'll just let my friends take care of you for me." Naruto and Kakashi watched as he placed his hands on each of the prisons. Zabuza smirked under his mask. "Summoning technique." Naruto and Kakashi's eyes widened. Out from his hands and into the water prisons, sharks swam in with their jaws outstretched and aimed towards their trapped prey. Naruto and Kakashi twisted and turned inside the water to avoid getting their limbs bitten off by the bloodthirsty carnivores. However, both of them knew they couldn't keep dodging the agile creatures forever. Zabuza just smiled as he stepped away from them. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have a mission to complete." Zabuza laughed sinisterly as he walked towards the slope they had tumbled down earlier. "No! No! It can't end up like this. I won't die here." Naruto thought frantically as part of his sleeve was torn off by the shark in his prison. His eyes widened when the shark made a sharp turn in the water and aimed its jaws at his head. "Naruto-sama!" Naruto felt the water around him disappear and he heard audible poofs as the shark that had been attacking him disappeared. He turned his head to see that Kakashi had also been freed and the shark that had been trying to make a meal out of him was also gone. Both Zabuza clones had also disappeared. Naruto smiled when someone with a pair of fox ears helped him to his feet. "Uzura, where the hell were you?" Naruto grinned at his savior. "You came to this island by boat, yes?" Uzura replied, also smiling. "The ferryman could not make 2 trips. I had to find my own way across." Naruto noticed her kodachi was drawn. She had probably used it to take out the sharks and water clones. Kakashi slowly stepped up next to them and took out a kunai. Zabuza had stopped in his tracks and glared menacingly back at his opponents how had been saved by some girl who had shown up out of nowhere. "I don't know who the hell you are, but her interference won't make a difference," Zabuza growled. He started to make a few hand signs as water started to rise up and circle around him. "You're already weak. I'll blow you all away with this last attack." Naruto clenched his fists. He knew Zabuza was right. They had been lucky when Uzura intervened, but she wasn't strong enough to take on Zabuza alone. He and Kakashi had no strength left. He couldn't think of any way to stop Zabuza from defeating them, but then an idea came to him. "Uzura, let's go," Naruto said as he rushed towards Zabuza. Uzura followed after him, trusting that her master knew what he was doing. Naruto's thoughts were racing. He knew he must be crazy. This was a last resort, a long shot, and stupid plan, but it was all he could think to do. He didn't know what the effects would be, but maybe, just maybe, it would stop Zabuza from attacking and force him to see the bigger picture. This would force him to stop his attack. "Uzura, give Zabuza my memories," Naruto shouted. The fox girl dashed in front of him. Naruto was no more than a few feet away from Zabuza. The man was just about to perform his finishing jutsu when he felt 2 fingers touch his forehead. Zabuza looked down to see that the fingers belonged to the strange girl who had interfered in his fight. Her other hand was on the blonde kid's forehead. Zabuza was about to protest. He was ready to unleash his jutsu and decimate his enemies. He was ready to slaughter them all. But then the girl spoke. "Remember your past life, Zabuza-san?" And then his death flashed inside his mind. Chapter 9. Good news, explanations, and plans. Naruto felt Uzura's fingers remove themselves from his forehead. He and the fox girl both stepped back as Zabuza fell to his knees, clutching his head as images swarmed inside his head. What the EFF is this? Zabuza thought as an image of Haku protecting him from some kind of lightning attack from Kakashi flashed through his mind. He saw himself rushing towards Gato, arms bleeding and hanging uselessly by his sides as he ran forward with a kunai in his mouth. He saw himself stab Gato and throw him into the river. Then he died next to Haku, but the images didn't stop there. They should have. That was where he died, so what more was there to see? Instead, the visions continued through someone else's eyes. He saw more battles, some snake freak, the boy with the Sharingan who he had knocked unconscious earlier leaving, intense training with some white-haired perv, and a lot more. The most extensive memories included battles and exchanges with people in black coats with red clouds decorating them. His eyes widened when a familiar face flashed in his mind. Kiiam. Zabuza muttered as his old partner flashed in his mind. He was wearing one of those cloaks. No sooner did the memory flash through his mind when another took its place, showing Kisame's death. More battles came after that. A man with a strange mask was present in most of these battles. The last image, the last battle, ended in another death. There were so many images, so many things to see. Zabuza wanted to know where the hell it had all came from. Naruto watched the man with apprehension. He fingered a kunai in his pouch. Beside him, Uzura readied her kodachi. Kakashi also had a kunai drawn behind him. The copynin made a move towards the assassin but Naruto shook his head, making the man halt in his tracks. If we wanted to incapacitate him, now would be the time. Kakashi pointed out. I know that, but... Naruto trailed off as a wave of tension washed over him. He had never intended for Zabuza to get his memories back. He hadn't been on his list. While Kakashi was right about this being the perfect opportunity to disable the man and complete the first phase of his plan, a part of Naruto was curious to see how Zabuza would react. It was a gamble and, logically, a too risky move so early on. Still, Naruto couldn't help but wonder. Had he unintentionally found an unlikely ally in Zabuza? Kid, what did you do? Naruto jumped when heard the question. Zabuza slowly stood up, a little shaky on his feet. These images in my head. I'm alive, I know that. Zabuza muttered, rubbing his temples in confusion. Yet, I remember dying. These images are too vivid to be some kind of trick. These memories, where did they come from? You did die, Zabuza. Naruto answered, choosing not hide the issue. The man was reacting with curiosity. He hoped that Zabuza wouldn't react violently at all later. Those memories aren't fake. In another lifetime, you died, and so did I. Those memories after my death belonged to you, didn't they? Zabuza asked. Naruto nodded in response. How did you do this? I didn't, she did. Naruto said, gesturing to the girl next to him. Uzura bowed a bit towards Zabuza when he turned towards her. It's a memory-sharing technique I possess. Uzura answered, stepping forward. She glanced at Naruto who nodded, telling her it was alright to continue. When I shared Naruto-sama's memories with you, not only did you recover your old memories, but Naruto-sama's memories were also added to your own. This is an ability only I possess. And this technique made me remember what exactly? Your old life. Naruto continued, picking up where Uzura left off. I said it already. You died in another life. Not just you and me, but lots of people lost their lives in that past. Yeah, you did die fighting against that masked freak and your teammate. Zabuza murmured, fishing out the memory which depicted an older version of the blonde kid getting stabbed by an older version of his black-haired teammate with some masked bastard laughing in the background. But what are all these events? I saw my old teammate, some freaky snake ninja, people in black cloaks with red clouds on them, and it's all too blurry and jumbled for me to make sense of anything. Zabuza's curious look switched to one of desperation as the memories and images flashed inside his head. Kid. Naruto, explain everything to me, now. Zabuza demanded desperately as the memory of his death flashed through his mind again. Explain everything so that I can understand why these images. Naruto held his hand up. First, I want to make a deal. Uzura and Kakashi both shot Naruto looks of surprise. He ignored both of them. While the demon container knew that bargaining with Zabuza was another risk, he hoped that it would help get something out of the situation and maybe help them with their plan. Let's hear it then. Zabuza replied slowly as he calmed himself down a bit. He crossed his arms in front of him, waiting to hear the boy's conditions. Normally he'd tear apart anyone who tried to outsmart or make deals with him, but this kid was the only way he could make sense of all the things in his head. Plus, Zabuza had a feeling there was a lot more he needed to hear before deciding whether or not he should kill the kid and his companions. First, I want you to agree not to kill Tazuna, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes at the man. Cut off all ties with Gato. From this point on, your service with him is done. Zabuza opened his mouth to speak, but Naruto interrupted him. Looks like he still had more to say. Second, you'll let us take you back to Kirigakure, Naruto said. This caused Zabuza's eyes to flare in surprise and anger. Naruto tried to remain calm. We need you if there's any chance of us getting into the Mist Village and seeing the Mizukage. Silence followed after Naruto had finished. Both Kakashi and Uzura stood at ready as Zabuza stood there with an angry, but thoughtful expression on his face. Zabuza's gaze rested on the blonde kid as he thought things over. He had no problem agreeing to the first condition, seeing as Gato was partly responsible for his death in his past life, as Naruto had put it. But the second condition was something he wouldn't agree to. Yet, the second request had made him a little curious. At first, Zabuza thought that they just wanted to collect his bounty. Hearing what the kid had to say about his memories was not worth getting captured and executed. However, from the way it sounded, the boy had no interest in his bounty, but rather wanted to meet with the Mizukage for some reason. That reason was something he wanted to hear. Very well. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard the answer. He let out a sigh of relief, surprised and thankful that Zabuza had agreed. Although, I have a few conditions as well. Naruto's relief was replaced with nervousness. He should have known it wouldn't be that easy. I have only two, other than you telling me about these memories, Zabuza said, walking over to pick up his sword, which lied on the ground a few feet away. First, see to it that Haku gets patched up. We can do that. Naruto nodded, looking at the boy's unconscious figure at the base of a tree. He actually expected the request. Maybe the man was partly influenced by the memory of Haku's death? Second, you have to tell me why you want to meet with the Mizukage, Zabuza said, lifting his sword and placing it on his back. I want to know what possible reason a runt like you may have for meeting with the current Mizukage. Deal. Naruto nodded. I promise that I'll tell you everything, just so long as you hold up your end of the bargain. Zabuza didn't respond. Instead, he made his way over to the trio at a steady pace. Naruto tensed as Uzura and Kakashi readied their weapons again. All three of them were surprised when Zabuza held out his hand. The man smiled a bit underneath his mask. As a former enemy, this may not mean much, but you have my word that I'll hold up my end of the deal. Naruto smiled a bit as some of his nervousness disappeared. He gave Zabuza's hand a firm shake. Good to know. Naruto smiled. Uzura smiled as both she and Kakashi visibly relaxed. The Kapinin still held the kunai in his hand though. I'll see you later then, Zabuza said as he turned away from them. The statement surprised Naruto. Wait, where are you going? Naruto asked. I thought that you wanted. I'll meet you at the bridge builder's house, Zabuza called back, not turning back around to look at them. Even though he couldn't see his face, Naruto could have sworn he saw a smile underneath Zabuza's mask. I have to tell Gato I'm canceling our contract. Naruto sighed as the sinister edge to Zabuza's tone conveyed the message. At least that was one problem solved. The demon of the mist disappeared into the forest. Naruto-sama, are you sure this is wise? Uzura asked him as Naruto turned towards her and Kakashi. Are you sure we can trust him? I trust him, Naruto answered after a brief pause. To his surprise, a small smile made its way onto his face. I don't know why, but I'm actually a little glad this happened. Hopefully things will stay this way, Kakashi said as he put his kunai away. I don't think he'll be as glad if Zabuza decides to betray us. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto smiled sheepishly. Well, I am surprised by how things turned out. Kakashi shrugged. If he didn't decide to kill us now, I don't think he'll try to later on. At least until you tell him about his old memories and about yours. How much will you tell him? Uzura asked curiously. I'll tell him anything he wants to know. Naruto said, crossing his arms. If I answer all his questions, maybe he'll be more cooperative when we take him to Kirigakure. If he lets us take him to Kirigakure. Kakashi pointed out. I don't think you should trust him so readily, Naruto. I think he trusts us a bit. Naruto smiled, making his way over to Haku. He lifted the unconscious boy onto his back. After all, he did leave his best tool in our care. Maybe giving Zabuza his memories would turn out to be a good thing after all. Guh, Sasuke-kun. Wah! Sasuke's eyes widened when he felt someone embrace him. He blushed and pushed Sakura off of him as he picked himself up. The pink-haired girl sighed with relief. I'm so glad you're okay. Sakura smiled at the Uchiha. When that mist ninja knocked you out, I was so worried. I'm surprised you held your own against him. Tazuna complimented, slapping the boy on the back. You kids can sure put up one hell of a fight. Thanks. Sasuke groaned as he held his forehead. His head was throbbing. Can I have something to drink? My throat feels really dry. I've got some sake. Will that do? Tazuna said, offering the boy a bottle. Sasuke gave him an exasperated look. Here's some water, Sasuke-kun. Sakura smiled, handing him her water flask. Thanks, Sako. Wait, where's Naruto and Kakashi-sensei? Sasuke said as he looked around the area. The fog was gone, but he couldn't see a shock of blonde hair or a masked ninja anywhere. They're in the forest fighting that swordsman. Tazuna said, looking towards the trees. The man broke out in a sweat. They've been in there for a while now. We've got to help them. Sasuke shouted, making his way towards the forest before collapsing to the ground as a sharp pain shot through his leg. Damn it, Sasuke-kun. Sakura said, rushing to the boy's side. She quickly examined it. You must have sprained your ankle. Find some way to fix it. Sasuke ordered. We've got to go and help Naruto and Kakashi-sensei. Help us with what? Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna's eyes widened when a cheerful voice was heard. The three of them looked to the forest where Naruto and Kakashi walked out of. Naruto grinned while Kakashi gave them a small wave. Naruto. Kakashi-sensei. You're okay. Sakura smiled with relief. She arched her eyebrow when she noticed someone on Naruto's back. Who's that? This is Haku. A hunter nin we knocked out while fighting Zabuza. Naruto answered, carefully leaving out the fact that Haku was associated with Zabuza. He turned towards Tazuna. We thought we could get him patched up at your place. That's fine with me, but what happened to the swordsman? Tazuna asked anxiously. Did you beat him? I think it would be better if we told you once we arrive at your village. Kakashi answered just as Naruto was about to speak. Why not tell me now? Tazuna asked nervously. Something told him he wasn't going to like the answer. You can wait. Kakashi smiled. Besides, I think you'll be happy to know that your trouble with Gato is over. Tazuna blinked at them disbelievingly. Was he hearing things? What? Naruto and Kakashi just smiled at him. Zabuza smirked as he kicked the dead bodyguard off of his sword. His clothes had blood spots all over them. Mist clouded the halls and corridors behind him, a thick trail of death was left behind him. The body dropped to the ground, joining the dozens he had left behind him on the floor. Zabuza's smile grew as he approached a small, stubby man with gray hair wearing a suit. The man quickly backed into a corner in a futile attempt to get away from the man. Zzz Zabuza. What is the meaning of this? Gato demanded as Zabuza approached him. He was shaking so bad the sweat running down his forehead was bouncing off his body. I just came here to tell you our contract has been cancelled. Zabuza shrugged, his tone nonchalant and uncaring. Blood dripped down his massive sword. You see, you've done something that can't be forgiven. What have I done? Your service means a lot to me and I've treated you handsomely for it. Gato said, trying to reason with the man. Oh, once you kill the bridge builder, I pay you your money. Don't worry, I don't expect you to understand. Hell, I still don't really get it either. Zabuza sighed, lifting his sword over his head. You just have to die. I can't let a pathetic bastard like you kill me a second time. Kill you? What are you? Gata's eyes widened when he saw the sword almost hit the ceiling. The businessman held his hands up in a desperate plea. Please Zabuza. Spare my life. Did someone pay you to do this? I'll pay you double what I'm paying you now if you spare me. Zabuza's smile disappeared. Gata's face was twisted into a look of crazy desperation. Sweat was starting to pool beneath him and tears streamed down his face. The smile he had was one of false hope, almost as if he thought there was a chance Zabuza would spare his life. To think my death was caused by scum like this. Zabuza thought disdainfully as he brought his sword down. No. Zabuza, don't key dash. The man was silenced when Zabuza's sword came down on his head. It cut him right down the middle, ending his pleas. Who would have thought that would feel so satisfying? Zabuza smirked, lifting his sword onto his shoulder as he left the room. He looked down at himself and frowned. Maybe he should change clothes before heading over to the bridge builder's house. Showing up with more blood on him than an axe murderer wouldn't help with impressions. Then again, he had already tried to kill them. Zabuza knew that it was impossible to make a good impression at this point. Wait just a minute. Tazuna said, waving his arms in front of him. You're saying that you didn't kill that Zabuza guy? Yep. Naruto nodded. What's more, you made some kind of deal with him? That's right. And you invited him over to my house? Tazuna exploded, throwing his arms up in the air. Yes. Are you insane? Maybe. Kakashi shrugged. Naruto shot him a quick glare. Everyone was in the kitchen, sitting around the table. They had told Tazuna about what happened with Zabuza upon their arrival to his house. They didn't expect him to take the news very well. Sasuke and Sakura were shocked as well. They all couldn't possibly imagine what kind of deal Naruto and Kakashi had made with him that made the assassin spare their lives and agree not to kill Tazuna. The bridge builder was a nervous wreck as he rattled his figures against the kitchen table in apprehension. Haku was upstairs getting her wounds treated. Tsunami had volunteered to bandage him up. Naruto had told Uzura to stay hidden. He kinda felt bad for telling her to wait in the forest for them when she had saved his and Kakashi's lives. He'd go outside to check on her later. Sasuke had his leg up on one chair while Sakura had her hand over his sprained ankle. A green light emanated from her palm. Naruto was glad he and Kakashi also thought to teach her the basics of healing jutsu a while back. Did you say that swordsman that tried to kill Grandpa is gonna kill Gato instead? A small voice asked timidly. Naruto turned towards Inari, who sat at the opposite end of the table. The boy had a look of disbelief on his face. Is that really true? Inari asked. That's another thing. Tazuna pointed out. The man tries to kill us, knocks one of your kids unconscious, and then agrees to kill the man who hired him? Just what kind of deal did you guys make with him? It all seemed too good to be true. A shinobi can be persuasive when he wants to be. Kakashi smiled. Tazuna still looked doubtful. Naruto smiled at the look of shock and sheer disbelief on Inari's face. He had almost forgotten how helpless a person Inari was in his apathetic attitude towards fighting against Gata's men. An idea suddenly formed in Naruto's head. Hey old man, does Gata have any guards inside the village? Naruto asked. Yes, he has maybe a dozen men scattered across the... Tazuna's eyes widened. Oh no! What will they do once they find out Gata's been killed? They might hurt the villagers. I'd be surprised if any of those shitty guards would have the balls to do that. Naruto thought as he remembered how Gata's men had reacted to the villagers standing up to them on the bridge after Gatu's death. SC? Look what you did. Inari said angrily, standing up from his chair. People might get hurt because of what that swordsman will do. Fighting always ends up with people hurt. Oh hell no. Naruto abruptly sat up from his chair and walked over to Inari, roughly grabbing the boy by his arm and tugging him out of his seat. Ow! Ow! What are you doing? Inari demanded as he tried to pull away from Naruto's grasp. Is that any way to thank us for protecting your grandfather? You should be thanking us for finding a way to take Gato out. Naruto said as he pulled Inari towards the door. What's more, you're worried about a few leftover guards? He turned towards Sasuke. Yo, Sasuke team. How's your leg? Just got done fixing it. Sakura smiled as Sasuke placed his foot on the ground. It was a pretty mild sprain. You got something you want to share with us? Sasuke asked, arching an eyebrow at his teammate. This village was broken by Gato. I'm gonna help get its spirit back. Naruto grinned. Wanna tag along? Sasuke and Sakura both smiled as they got up from their chairs. Kakashi waved them off as they all moved towards the door. Don't cause too much trouble, guys. Kakashi smiled. We'll try our best. Naruto smiled. He looked down at Inari, who stared back with disbelief and awe. That's not a face you should be making, Inari. Gato's dead now. It's time to let the village know that. They four of them left the house. Let go. Where are you taking me? Naruto ignored Inari's complaints as he pulled the boy through the streets. His eyes scanned the streets for any sign of Gato's men. Sakura and Sasuke had split off from them to search other parts of the village. Naruto smiled when he saw two dangerous-looking men with swords threatening a shop owner. He could feel Inari stiffen as his protest stopped. What are you waiting for? We're hungry, so give us some food. One of the henchmen with an eye patch sneered at the shopkeeper. But I can't just give you food for free. Why you have tea to pay? The shopkeeper protested weakly, hoping to make some sort of profit. It would be the first time he sold something that wasn't free in a week. We work all day patrolling around town and making sure no one causes any trouble. The other henchman with a beanie cap smirked. We deserve some free food. Why you have to pay, sirs? Naruto glanced around the area. People just stood around with miserable expressions on their faces, trying to ignore what was happening. One person was cleaning up the outside of his shop with a broom while another was pretending to check the menu. They couldn't do anything to displease Gato or his men. Naruto smiled to himself. Wouldn't they be happy to hear the news? We work for Gato. After all he's done for this village, you should be happy to give us food. The eye patch henchman smirked. Yeah, extorting from the villagers and ruling through fear. Your charity is to be admired. Both men turned to whoever had made the sarcastic comment. All they saw was some short blonde-haired kid dragging some other brat along with him. They approached the two with menacing expressions on their faces. Care to repeat what you just said, kid? Eye patch growled at Naruto. You heard what I said. Naruto smirked, letting go of Inari. The boy just stood behind him, shaking in place. Unfortunately for you, I'm not so easily intimidated. You've got some nerve, twerp. The henchman with the beanie smirked. His hand brushed over the hilt of his sword. I think we might have to teach you some manners. The two men smiled sinisterly as they approached Naruto. They both placed their hands on their swords as they stepped in front of the boy. Everyone around them just looked on, looks of helplessness and horror etched on their faces at what the henchman planned to do to a helpless child. Naruto smirked. Little did they know he was anything but helpless, and he'd show them that. Naruto formed a quick hand sign and two clones poofed into existence next to him. Both clones jumped up and kicked both men in their chins. The real Naruto pumped chakra into his fists as his hands shot forward. Both henchmen cried out as Naruto's fists slammed into their stomachs, knocking them wind out of them and making them collapse on the ground. Beanie Cap groaned and coughed as I patch leered at Naruto. Why you little prick, when Gato finds out about this? The man coughed. Gato? Oh, you mean the guy my associate killed? Naruto said offhandedly, twirling his pinky around inside his ear. Yeah, he won't be doing anything to me anytime soon. All of the villagers had gone silent. They all had looks of shock and disbelief on their faces. Even the henchman looked surprised. What did that kid say? Gato's dead. He said a friend of his killed him. Is he telling the truth? Oh, it's the truth. Naruto assured the villagers, speaking loudly so everyone heard him. Gato and his men are all probably dead by now. The only guards left are the few that hang around in the village. Naruto squatted down to the henchman. And now that your boss and his men are gone, you two are horribly outnumbered, aren't you? The two men paled. Naruto walked over to Inari. The boy just stared at him with wide eyes, not believing what Naruto just did. He had done something he himself had always wanted to do but never had the courage to do it. He flinched when Naruto placed his hand on his shoulder. Naruto smiled warmly at the boy. You don't have to worry about getting kicked around anymore, Inari. You don't have to be afraid to kick back. Naruto grinned. You should always fight for what's right. Never let others push you around ever again. Inari just stared at the older boy. Tears started to well up in his eyes. So go on, why don't you pay these men back for what they've done to the village? Naruto smiled, walking back over to the men. Try giving one of them a swift kick in the beanbag while he's down. It's fun. Inari took a hesitant step towards them. Your dad fought against Gato. Time for you to do the same. Inari ran forward and kicked Ipatch in the crotch as hard as he could. The man curled into a fetal position on the ground and Inari continued to kick him. This for my daddy and all the other people Gato hurt. Inari screamed as he kicked and punched the man on the ground. Tears streamed down his face. Every kick and punch were for his father who had been killed for opposing Gato. Now was the time to show his courage. Why you little brat? Beanie Cap said angrily as he moved to get up. His eyes widened when something smacked into the back of his head, bringing him back down to the ground. You bastards! You'll pay for what you have done. The villager who had hit him yelled as he beat him down with a broom. You'll pay for all the suffering we've gone through. We don't have to be afraid anymore. Get out of our village. Naruto smiled as every villager in the vicinity joined Inari in his assault. He pumped chakra into his legs as he ran up the tallest building in the area and stood on the roof. He cupped his hands around his mouth, hoping the volume of his voice would reach everyone in the village. Hey everyone! Gato is dead! Naruto shouted out, his voice echoing across the village. From below, Inari and the villagers let out an enthusiastic cheer. And no way! This brat wasn't lying. 2 henchmen were on the ground with 3 other henchmen lying unconscious behind them. In front of them stood a boy with black hair and red eyes. They had all been beaten senseless by the kid who had told them not too long ago that their boss had been killed. Only after their defeat and after hearing the announcement that sounded across the village did they believe what the boy had told him. Did you hear that? You don't have control here anymore. Sasuke smirked down at them. During their brief fight, they had attracted a lot of attention from the villagers around them. The 2 conscious men started to sweat when all the villagers started to smile and close in around them. In a few minutes, they were just as unconscious as their friends. 2 of Gato's henchmen just stared at the hole in the shattered window. They couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Their friend had just been thrown through a window. That wasn't what surprised them though. What surprised them was who had thrown their friend through the window. The both stepped away from the pink-haired girl who gave them a sweet smile. That smile only served to make them even more scared. Where did she get all that strength? That girl had picked up their friend, swung him around, then hurtled him through a window. This was done the minute after she had told them their boss had been killed and a second after someone on the other side of the village had shouted the same thing. In their shock and fear, neither of the 2 henchmen noticed the crowd of villagers creeping up from behind them with various tools and blunt objects in their hands. Crap, it can't be true. You saw the villagers. It has to be. The 2 men ran through the streets after they had witnessed a few of their friends being assaulted by a crowd of angry villagers. Not wanting to end up like their poor associates, they made a break for the village gates. Both men felt something hard hit their legs and lost their balance. They both collapsed to the ground. They both turned to see the person who had tripped them up. They were surprised to see a girl wearing an orange kimono with a bandana covering the top of her head. Did you do that? Did what? The girl asked innocently. You know what you did, you little dash. The man was cut short when a foot smashed into his nose as he got up from the ground. He fell to the ground, unconscious with a broken nose. Be bitch. How dare you? As the other henchman moved to attack the girl who had knocked out his partner, he felt a strong hand grip his shoulder. Something wrong here? The man turned to tell off whoever was speaking to him. All the color drained from his face when he saw who it was. Zabuza. The man squeaked. His only reply was the ninja's fist slamming into his face. Zabuza-san. Uzura bowed towards the man as he pushed the unconscious henchman to the ground. Fox girl. Zabuza grunted at her as he looked around the streets. He could see villagers cheering in the distance. I take it the word's gotten around. Naruto-sama made sure of that. Uzura smiled in response. He and the others should be back at Tazuna's house by now. That's good. I'll be heading over there then, Zabuza said as he stepped past her. He navigated through the crowd of cheering villagers as he made his way to Tazuna's house. The demon of the mist smirked to himself. Looks like he had done something good for once in his life. Come on, what did we talk about? Alright. No more crying. Naruto smiled as Inari wiped the tears from his eyes. The boy beamed at him, his eyes full of admiration towards the boy who had just announced the good news to the village. He also gave Sasuke and Sakura appreciative smiles which both of them returned. They could hear the villagers shouting with glee. With Gato out of the way, building the bridge shouldn't be a problem now. Kakashi smiled underneath his mask. I just can't believe it. Tazuna said, trying to find the words. I don't even know you guys and you've done so much. Hell, I lied to you about the mission and I feel like I tricked you into protecting me, but you guys go and do this, thank you. No thanks are needed. Naruto smiled modestly. Really, if you're going to thank someone you should thank Zabuza when he gets here. He's the one that killed Gato. Ha! I'm gonna thank the man who was hired to kill me but ended up killing his employer instead. Tazuna chuckled at the irony. He gave Naruto a happy smile. But he wasn't the one who brought the spirit back into this village. I wouldn't go that far. Naruto blushed a bit at Tazuna's praise. Don't be so humble. You hear that? Tazuna smiled, listening to the happy cheers of the village. Those are the cries of free birds. You set this village free, Naruto. Thank you. Naruto just smiled at the man. He didn't know what to say. Dad. Could you get some more bandages for me? Tsunami's cheerful voice rang down from upstairs. She was also happy to hear the good news. She was happy for the village, her family, and her dear departed husband. I'll bring some up for her. Naruto offered, standing up from his seat. Where are the bandages? Should be in that cupboard right there. Tazuna pointed next to the stairs. Naruto nodded and took out some bandages and headed upstairs. He heard a knock come from the door as he walked to the room Tsunami and Haku were in. He's here. Damn, I should have gotten some more sake. Could have used it as a peace offering. Naruto chuckled at Tazuna's words as he turned the knob of the door. He stepped inside the room. Hey, Tsunami. I got the bandages you wanted. Naruto's eyes widened and he froze. So did the two other occupants in the room. Haku was awake. Haku was sitting up in bed. Tsunami had just finished unwrapping some bandages that were around his chest. But that was the error. The word him suddenly became an error. Chest bindings. Naruto thought dumbly as the bandages fell off of Haku's chest. He saw everything. He knew Haku was a bit older than him, but he was surprised how much it showed. What made him more curious was how she managed to cover it all up. What made him confused was the memory of Haku telling him she was a male during that time in the forest when he had first met her. However, Naruto knew what a woman's body looked like, and the two fair-sized mounds on Haku's chest was all the proof he needed. Naruto ignored the angry look on Tsunami's face as the roll of bandages dropped from his hands and fell to the floor. He lifted his finger and pointed at Haku, ignoring the block of ice that was forming in her hand. He could only think to say one thing. I knew you were a girl. His only reply was a very girlish shriek, which chased away any lingering doubts about Haku's gender. Kaya Haku screamed, covering her bare chest as she threw the huge chunk of ice at Naruto. It slammed into his head, knocking him backwards and causing him to tumble down the stairs. Naruto stared up dizzily at everyone who had crowded around him. He recognized Zabuza's face in the group surrounding him. Haku's a girl. Naruto muttered a question that sounded more like a statement before he blacked out. Wait, so you told Haku to tell everyone she was a boy? Naruto asked, holding an ice pack to his head. The ice came from the block of ice that Haku had used to knock him out. Why? As she got older, it got harder to hide her assets. Zabuza answered him without shame. She's only 15, but she matured pretty quickly. It was hard to keep a low profile in villages we visited when boys wouldn't stop staring at her. So, you made her bind her chest when she started to develop, gave her a mask to hide her pretty face, and told her to tell everyone she was a boy? Kakashi asked the man, not believing the ridiculousness of it all. I made her speak in a deeper voice when we were talking with people too. Zabuza added. Hiding her femininity was pretty troublesome. That's so stupid. Naruto muttered as he moved his ice pack to the other side of his head. The three of them all sat in a triangle in Tazuna's room. After Tazuna and his family warmed up to Zabuza and thanked him for sparing his life and taking out Gato, Zabuza had conversed with him a bit, shared a few drinks, but pulled Naruto and Kakashi aside so he could talk with the both of them. He wanted his questions answered immediately. Naruto had answered all of them. Haku's gender had actually been their second topic of discussion. He had told Zabuza everything that occurred after his death. He had told of Orochimaru's attack on Konoha, Sasuke's betrayal, his training with Jiraiya, his fights against Akatsuki, about the Bijou and demon containers, his parents, about Madara, and about their final battle where Naruto had died. The demon container made sure not to leave out a single detail. So, you've got the strongest of the Bijou inside you? Nice. Zabuza whistled. That explains why you have so much chakra. It's not as great as you may think. You should understand that living with a fox inside me wasn't really the best thing for me. Naruto sighed, remembering how the villagers treated him for it before he earned their respect and praise. He grimaced when he thought of his most recent discussion with the fox. I'm actually glad he hasn't tried to mess with me at all yet. Naruto thought, feeling both relieved and surprised that the fox hadn't bothered him at all since their little spat inside his mindscape a few months back. So, your parents came to you in the afterlife after you died, modified your seal, and sent you back in time? Zabuza said, leaning back in his chair. He shook his head. That's a pretty crazy story. Something no sane person would believe. You think I don't know that? Naruto said, narrowing his eyes at the ex-Miss Nin. I've told this story before, but it still sounds crazy. It'll probably always sound unbelievable. Minato-sensei was known for being a master at sealing techniques. Kakashi said, crossing his arms. But to think he had a technique of this caliber. Did you give anyone else their old memories? Zabuza asked curiously. No. You, Kakashi-sensei, and Uzura are the only ones who know of our lives in the past. Naruto answered. This all sounds like something out of fiction. Zabuza sighed. If I didn't have my old memories back, I'd probably kill you for telling such a bad joke. You know it's no joke. Naruto sighed. We're here. We're alive. I want to change things for the better so that no one dies this time around. I've got plans for doing that. That's still something we need to discuss. Zabuza said, leaning forward in his seat. I believe everything you told me so far. It's crazy, but I believe you. It's why I haven't killed you. But what I want to know is why you want to go to Kirigakure and see the Mizukage. Naruto sighed. That was their last topic for discussion. Alright. See, the reason I want to go to Mizugakure and why I wanted to capture you is, hold on. Zabuza held his hand up. Let's go discuss this in Haku's room. Naruto and Kakashi blinked. Why? I know we have a deal, but if I just tell her that I'm going to Kirigakure all of a sudden she's going to want answers. She's my. Zabuza paused as he stepped towards the door. She's my partner and needs to know. I want her to hear everything you're going to say so she won't ask questions later on. All right. Naruto nodded. He and Kakashi followed Zabuza out the door. Naruto was the first to enter the room. The only person inside was Haku, calmly reading a book Tsunami had given her. She was wearing a white shirt, her chest no longer binded. She tensed when she noticed Naruto had entered the room. Hi. Naruto smiled weakly as he took a seat next to her bedside. Haku put the book on the stand next to the bed and folded her hands in her lap. Hello. Haku replied, her tone calm. Both Zabuza and Kakashi observed the two with bemused expressions on their faces. So? Naruto started, uncomfortable by their lack of conversation. You're a female. He mentally kicked himself. Yes. Haku nodded, her hands slowly coming up to cover her chest. Look, I'm sorry about before. Naruto apologized, blushing a bit as he remembered their encounter. Can you please forgive me? It was an accident. I forgive you. I know that peeping on me was not your intention. Haku replied, surprising Naruto with a smile. Is there a reason why you all have come into my room? Zabuza, is there something you need to tell me? There's something I want you to hear. Zabuza replied. He nodded to Naruto. Go ahead, kid. Okay. Naruto said as he took a deep breath. I want to go to Kirigakure and meet with the current Mizukage. There's a reason I want to do this. You all know about the Bijou, right? The tailed beasts? I've heard of them. Haku nodded. They are demons that are sealed inside a living person to contain their power. I had actually heard rumors that the former Mizukage was a demon container. Zabuza raised his eyebrows at this. He hadn't known that. Yeah, well, I'm a container. Naruto said, surprising Haku with the sudden revelation. I know there are other containers besides me out there. There's an organization called Akatsuki, who wants to capture all the demon beasts for some plan of theirs. They want to extract the demons from containers like me and use their power for themselves. As you can imagine, this puts me and other demon containers at risk. That's why I need to get in touch with the other containers as soon as possible and warn them about the threat Akatsuki poses to people like us. And what does this have to do with meeting with the Mizukage? Zabuza asked. This was what he had wanted to hear. I need to meet with the Mizukage because 2 demons are living within Kirigakure's borders. Naruto said with a serious expression on his face. There are 2 in Kirigakure. Zabuza said, shocked by the fact 2 demon containers were in his homeland. That information didn't come up when Naruto was discussing his memories with him. Yes. The demon beasts are 6 tails and 3 tails. Naruto nodded. A person named Utakata is the container of the 6-tailed demon beast. I want to talk with him and warn him. If at all possible, I want him to join up with me. My goal is to gather all the demon containers so that we can fight Akatsuki together. If all of us combine our strengths, then we might stand a chance against Madara and his group. What about the 3-tailed beast? Haku asked. You haven't mentioned anything about it yet. To be honest, Haku was more than a little lost despite how calm she was acting. She had never even heard of the Akatsuki or this Madara person. Plus, these 2 were talking about bringing Zabuza back to Kirigakure, the place he had attacked years ago in a coup d'etat. She was surprised he was even contemplating the possibility of returning with people he barely knew. Not only that, but the talk of demons was a bit unnerving. She was also curious as to where Naruto was getting all this information from. How did he know there was a group after demon containers and how did he know there were 2 in Kirigakure? Well, the 3-tailed beast is a special case. Naruto said. See, while all the other Bijou I know of have containers, the 3-tailed beast, the Sanbai no Kaede game, has no human container. It's roaming around somewhere in Kirigakure. What? How is that possible? Zabuza said. Kirigakure wouldn't let something as dangerous as a tailed beast roam around inside its borders, would it? That's what I'd also like to know. Naruto sighed. If you didn't know about the Sanbai's presence within Kiri's borders, then it probably hasn't been much of a problem, right? Kakashi pointed out, directing his question towards Zabuza. The Mizukage is aware the Sanbai roams around free inside Kiri, but it doesn't cause any problems. My guess is either they're afraid attacking it would provoke it and cause causalities and damage within their lands, or they see the Sanbai as too strong a creature to be attacked so they leave it alone. That would make sense, I guess. Zabuza nodded, seeing the logic in Kakashi's words. Uzura and I have been working on a special sealing jutsu to capture the Sanbai. Naruto said, pulling a small scroll out from his back pouch. It's a combination of the dead demon consuming seal used to seal the 9 tails in me, and the 4-corner sealing barrier technique. It's not complete yet, but I'm hoping we'll be able to complete before we go after the Sanbai. I'm sure there's someone in Mizugakure who can help complete it. Zabuza sat back in his seat, digesting what Naruto had told him. A certain question popped into his head. That sealing jutsu you're making, can it be used to seal the Sanbai inside a person? Zabuza asked. Huh? Naruto was surprised by the question. I hadn't actually thought about what to seal the sandby in. This is more of a temporary holding cell to contain the sandby and see what the Mizukage wants to do with it. Why? No reason. Zabuza replied quietly. Naruto could have sworn he saw him smile underneath his bandaged mask. So, that's my plan. Naruto said. In a nutshell, I want to use Zabuza as an excuse to go see the Mizukage as a reward for turning in an A-class missing nin, ask about the locations of Utakata and the sandby, seal Three Tails, and talk to Utakata. That's it. Naruto waited for a response from Zabuza. He just sat in his chair with a thoughtful expression on his face. Haku sat back in her bed, fully expecting Zabuza to reject the proposition and refuse to go to Kirigakure with him. All right. I'll go with you. Haku nearly fell off the bed. Both Naruto and Kakashi gave him relieved smiles. Zabuza, you're not serious, are you? Haku stammered, clearly distressed by his decision. You're a wanted criminal. You tried to overthrow the Mizukage years ago. You've spent years trying to gather the forces and acquire the money to make another rebellion army. Why would you agree to follow these ninjas back to Kirigakure? Zabuza turned towards her with a deathly serious look on his face. Haku, I decided to have our discussion in here so you'd know the reason for my returning to Kiri with these guys. You've never questioned my decisions before, so why are you doing it now? I just don't want you to be captured. Haku mumbled quietly. Naruto looked away from her. He had to admit, he felt a little guilty about turning Zabuza in to see the Mizukage. After all, without him, where would that leave Haku? Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to let these guys turn me in. Naruto and Kakashi looked at Zabuza in alarm. What? Naruto shouted. But you said dash. I said I'd let you take me to Kirigakure. That was the deal. Zabuza smirked. I never said I'd let you take me back as a prisoner. But. Naruto protested. He was silenced when Zabuza gave him a death glare. Kid, I've spent years recovering after that failed coup d'etat. I've spent years trying to start up a second one. If you think I'm gonna quietly go along and turn myself in after years of running, you are sorely mistaken. Zabuza said. A smirk formed beneath his bandaged mask. If we're going to Kirigakure, we're gonna do it my way. This is going to be an infiltration mission. Naruto and Haku both shot each other nervous glances. Kakashi also looked surprised at this sudden turn of events. Naruto groaned and placed his head in his hands. Maybe giving Zabuza's memories back hadn't been such a good thing after all. That's it for this reading. Hit like and subscribe for a free ticket pass going to the different worlds of anime fanfiction. Looking forward to having you on board again.